gets hit with that right click. Sleepy was ready for him. Just a little opening is all the Dynasty need to press forward now.
There's always that flexibility with Nevix as a player. When he gets his teammates back up.
They need a big Dragon Blade if they want to keep their hopes alive here, and I think they've got exactly what they need. Obi comes in. That's what you do, man. No, what? What? Wow, Baby Bay has just been on fire. Looks like the Soul Train hasn't really slowed down at all.
San Francisco definitely showing off. That was commanding.
We've got a packed house here on an awesome Friday night. How you guys feeling out there? Still with us, awesome. This is just match number 2 of a big 3-match day. Welcome home, everybody. I'm your host, Chris Puckett. This is the Overwatch League, and we are closing out stage 1 of the regular season. Just 2 days left, and here to bring you all of the action here on the second to last day. We got Bren, we got Crumbs, we got our insider Zoe once again, and now we're getting into the interesting matches. These are the ones that have massive playoff implications, and so as we take a look at the schedule here, highlight, who are you more afraid for? Is it Seoul Dynasty or the Valiant who plays at 8 o'clock?
Oh, you know, I actually think Seoul Dynasty is the one I fear for the most because they don't even have their faith in their own hands anymore. It's not just about them performing absolutely flawlessly, but they also need to have Valiant and Boston tomorrow perform in a certain way for them to get to the playoffs.
Seoul has to rise on back to the top. We'll see if they can start it right now as we welcome our first team to the stage. Give it up for the Dynasty. Charge, and he's got some presents for the fans. I think this is good luck charm, guys. You gotta get the fans hyped up, cheering for you early on. They know they need the support because they've been on a downward spiral after a fantastic start.
More reason to get here early, get those floor seats. You never know who's gonna be giving you free gifts now.
I was wondering why are they handing out hand warmers?
It's food, Brad.
What?
Well,
Okay,
either way,
that
they
makes sense.
can't cover up that recently they have been struggling. Even if they're handing out candy, we do have to address this. And there were a lot of rumors about leadership issues within that team. People from the Korean community said that Seoul looks less diligent and more inattentive in game. Ryu Jae-hong is their leader due to age and experience, but apparently he's not willing to actually scold and discipline his team, which leads to less feedback and discussions, and they end up not addressing and fixing the issues they're having.
Yeah, but this time around, they're going all out, especially in the bling department with Jae-hong, but their entire lineup is what is basically the real deal. How you've got Fleta and Bunny on the lineup, so you got your Tracer, your Widowmaker for the Icon Balls, you have your Pharah, which is just going to be the entire match. If you get this scores, you shoot down the other Pharah.
Yeah, and in general as well, this team in particular, Seoul Dynasty, has not been making the adjustments they need. In the matches we've seen of them, we've been seeing swaps in the support roles, in the DPS roles, and they've haven't been having consistent performances that we know Seoul should be. That's a real problem for me today. It looks like they're going all out with that roster.
That's the Seoul Dynasty. I like the starting lineup. We'll see if they can get the job done going up against the San Francisco Shock. Sleepy, don't look so happy, buddy. Dak's ready to go. The support's leading the charge for the Shock today, and they're coming in with a 3-6 match record coming off that heartbreaking loss to the Gladiators. Today, can they take down the Seoul Dynasty?
That is a very good question, Puckett. I did talk to their coach, Brad, and I asked him what approach they're going to take going up with the Seoul Dynasty. And he told me that you cannot really cheese those Korean teams. They adapt too quickly and you just have to play fundamentally sound Overwatch and execute. And that's how you're going to win against them.
I don't think that sounds quite right. If anything, the entire stage has proven that these teams have not been able to adapt on the fly very quickly. How long has it taken these teams to figure out how to deal with Jake's Junkrat? Yeah. Junkrat as a hero itself has been so
we need to nerf it. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah. But looking at this squad, who are kind of the threats on this team right now, Brent?
So for me, it's Dante and Nevix being these two consistent players. They keep performing day in, day out. Obviously, Baby Bay is always there as this one sort of focal point. However, my issue with San Francisco Shock is the fact that they are very much focused on building the entire roster around Baby Bay and sort of influencing around him, trying to basically put as many resources as possible into making him play as best as he can, whereas Dante, Nevix, they never really need anything to get going. They're always consistent.
It's like you take out that queen in a chess match, they're going to lose all kinds of versatility. You're going to take that king shortly after. Let's jump into this match and talk about the implications. We hit it shortly leading in, but so let's talk a little bit about what is on the line for both of these teams.
Yeah, if you're looking at Shock side, they don't have that much pressure. They really just play for map differentials, and pride, which is big too. However, for Seoul Dynasty, they need to be flawless. They need to win this match big times, and then afterwards they still are not guaranteed in the playoffs because they need the Valiant to perform in a certain way, and also the Boston Uprising tomorrow. So this is everything for Seoul, and for Shock, just pride, basically.
And I'd never really thought I'd see the day where Seoul was sitting at 6th place in these standings. This is honestly crazy for me coming into this. And the fact that their games, their fate of playoffs is not even in their own hands. I need to wait for the Valiant Shanghai game later to really know whether or not they're going to be making the playoff spot. That's what's crazy to me. This entire game, this entire day has massive implications throughout the entire, for all of these matches.
Now, we mentioned Shock, they're not in the run for the Stage 1 playoffs, but of course they have a chance for Stage 2, Stage 3, Stage 4 at the end of the season when the money is really on the line. So Crumps, let's tell today's story though. So far, Seoul has been on a bit of a downward spiral. Shock, could they steal another victory?
That's the question, really, because Seoul's previous opponents, the Valiant, the Outlaws, New York Excel, and the Spitfire, are all pretty top-tier teams, and all of them are relatively in contention for playoffs, where you have the San Francisco Shock now, which is one of the lowest-ranked rivals that they're up against, and what happens today will be an indication of how low is Seoul going really. Do they have a rock bottom? Because if they struggle here, it's just an indication that this team is really going through some major struggles.
Well, they don't have their fate in their hands, but Seoul could give themselves a major favor with a 4-0 victory today, and it's got to start right now. Let's send it backstage to our casters, Mr. X and Uber.
Thank you very much, Puckett, and g'day, Blizzard Arena. What a day it is for some top-level Overwatch. I'm hyped, and suffice to say, Matt, there's a lot on the line in this particular match.
I mean, this is Seoul's Stage 1 right here. It's their final match. They need a 4-0 to keep their playoff chances alive, and even if they do get the 4-0, they need a lot of help as well.
And you never go into a game in the Overwatch League saying, we have to win this 4-0. You know, it's always about just winning, but now there's a caveat, there's an asterisk next to a victory for the Seoul Dynasty, which is undoubtedly going to put some pressure on them here as we go into Eichenwald.
Well, you look at Seoul's Stage 1 as a whole. Now, they lose that map to Shanghai, and they lose the map and they tie the one to Dallas at the beginning, which really hurt them. If those go in their favor, they're still with the same record, but their map differential jumps up 3. Then all they would need is pretty much a Boston win against Houston, and they'd be sitting pretty, but those matches really hurt them on earlier, and I think it just goes to show how important each individual map is.
You could say the same for this particular series as well, and there's nothing that the boys from the Shock would like more than to rain on the parade of the Seoul Dynasty. These guys have been chomping at the bit to get their chance to prove themselves, and this would be another notch in the belt, albeit not a match win, of course. But still within the realm.
They want to play spoilers, though. I kind of heard some of the guys like walking by. They were just like, they probably don't know the exact scenario. They know that if they win a map, that they're out. They were just like talking like, oh, one map, like obviously want to win the series, but it'd be great if the Shock could steal a map here. It would be the ones that deny Seoul Dynasty that Stage 1 playoff.
And this may well be, I guess, the best foot forward for Seoul Dynasty. God forbid, they've finally got Jaehong and Toby back in that roster together. Miro, of course, we haven't seen Kuki for a little while.
Which has been weird.
Right, absolutely. I haven't seen a lot of him. Zumba's here, of course, in that flex tank position. So, Seoul now, enough for the games, enough funny business. It's time to get serious.
And you see that stat about Farah here on Eichenwald. She's great here in the initial first point of the game. A lot of verticality as we go through the second area of the map, so you're going to see her.
It's like a jungle gym out there, mate.
You're going to see her a ton. And it's, we kind of thought at the beginning of the stage, right, there was a ton of like Arisa plus Junkrat here, just spamming the choke, and that's evolved over time. It's just been great to see how these maps have changed throughout Stage 1. So Fleta is probably just going to go for a shot here on a Baby Bay, then switch off of the Widowmaker.
Get him some Farah. Let's make some noise, ladies and gentlemen. It's all on the line here for the Dynasty. Much to be said for their opponents, the Shock, who've shown us flashes of brilliance, but lacking the consistency required to be at the top of the tables. Fleta's still on that Widowmaker here and might persist with that, pressuring Baby Bay, and this will deny a lot of his general sightlines that normally you would have available in a Farah v Farah. Yeah, there's a switch. Okay.
He tried the jump shot over the building to see if he can get any line of sight on Baby Bay, and doesn't see a thing. So now we see Fleta go over to Farah, one of the better Farahs, if not the absolute best Farah we have.
Okay, let's not mess with him.
He's not bad. Oh yeah, he's sick.
So a little bit of a tickle on the point here for the Seoul Dynasty, and again, it's a bit of reconnaissance being done right now. Jaehong goes down. Nomi went deep for that kill, but has to give up his life over to Fleta, of all people. So it's a 5v5, but Jaehong getting brought back by Toby in the backlines here, and Nomi's going to be pretty hard to resurrect.
No, that's what I was going to say. It's going to be great for Seoul Dynasty because you're able to bring, oh man, you're able to bring Jaehong right back into the fight.
Nomi dies in a spot, not going to be able to get rest. Pressuring Nevix here as well, and Fletter's looking for a Baby Bay. Team Rocket's blasting off again. Baby Bay just falls right into the line of fire. And it's an easy one for Fletter now. This guy's patient as they come. And for Seoul Dynasty, it's been quite the clean approach here. This is what they need for the entirety of the series.
He is so good on the far. It's going to be a self-destruct that comes out from Nevix, just trying to keep himself alive.
Not
Get
gonna
pulse
happen.
bomb there by Bunny, as the point should eventually go over to Seoul Dynasty. You see Toby at the top of your screen does have Valkyrie. Be Transcendence that comes out from Sleepy, trying to keep the San Francisco Shock alive on the point.
Oh!
2 shots from Flood into Baby Bay. That'll knock him out of the sky.
It's gonna take more than big biceps to deal with Fletter, Baby Bay. Sorry, buddy. Again, he knew he had no value in really shooting the targets on the ground with that Transcendence in place, so he goes for the target not being healed up, and that was Baby Bay. You gotta respect this man. Gotta get up early in the morning if you're gonna beat him at that Pharah v Pharah, and that's it. First point for Seoul, they're on the move.
Flutter will change off of Farah here. We'll go over to Genji. So Seoul wants to get extremely aggressive on the high ground, and it's actually a great switch, right? Because Baby Bay has now gone over to Widowmaker. You can just dive right on top of Baby Bay, give him a lot of trouble.
Doesn't want to try Pharah v Pharah anymore. Fletter's on this Genji. Should point it out. Using that access to the high ground, but he's being tickled a little bit here by Nomi and needs to back away. Not a lot of damage, of course. Burst available for a Winston, but cannot dodge or reflect.
And Miro had used the Primal Rage up at the high ground. Maybe he got low on HP, just trying to push some members back towards the gate, but they're not really going to get anything out of that Primal Rage. Now he's going up top. Gets Nevix really low, doesn't get the DMAX.
Toby's down though. Baby Bay managed to pick him up from the top of the tower. So you saw a lot of Nevix and a lot of Nomi just trying to get involved and displace some of the Seoul Dynasty, but that confusion was easily averted by Seoul. They just reserved themselves and come back into the fight, and now it's a cleanup. The San Francisco Shock tried to really make a mess of things there for Seoul, but all they did was put them in uncoordinated positions.
And Seoul kept going for the high ground, and eventually Baby Bay went down towards that lower part, and as soon as he goes low, Zumba just goes right around the corner as Diva flies in, takes him out. As the infrared sight comes in from Baby Bay, but look at the pressure that's being put in here by Seoul Dynasty for a second there. Bunny was going to go off the side. He gets tagged up with a shot from Baby Bay, but you know, this is going to be very dangerous, this pulse bomb, right, Mitch? Everybody comes out in that close quarter area, maybe able to get something.
Good opening in the fight here, though. Sleepy's found Bunny, another Dragon Bait for Fletter. He actually gets a quick little burst heal from the Transcendence on his own team, but it's not going to be enough. Baby Bay doesn't care about healing over time. He's got the burst, and he deals with that Fletter with the Dragon Blade. Soul wrap around, though. Jaehong is deep in enemy territory right now, whilst Baby Bay and Nomi just lay waste to his teammates. And you can't really suicide yourself from this position, Jaehong, so he's hoping just to get a flanking pick, but I think he's been detected.
I don't know, looking at the minimap, they may have an idea that Jaehong is still alive. I don't know if they have an idea where he is, because the members of the Shock just kind of dancing around here. They may have actually heard his hellos from before, just trying to distract them a little bit. You know, with the voice lines, right? You just drag them out of position.
It's an audio cue either way. Jaehong now is back in the body, flanking. Oh no, he's found Sleepy. He has been detected and taken down, but it's a 1-for-1 trade, and Jaehong might have got his just rewards for spending so much time in enemy lines. Sleepy's back though, care of the mercy, but Flatter's there, looking for Baby Bay, and he's found him. Nevix drops in at the nick of time, but where's the rest of the Shock? They're too busy dealing with the Primal Rage Miro in their midst. Finally, Dunter gets out and towards the point, but how long is he gonna last? Not long enough, at least, to keep the payload in stasis. And the Dynasty get a second checkpoint. Talk about chaos.
How does Jaehong make a kill happen there? He just comes around the corner, gets rid of Sleepy, and you know, for the San Francisco Shock at that moment, it just goes all out chaos. You know, the Zenyatta's on the flank, he's picked up one. As Seoul Dynasty starts to move the payload on it, they're still holding on to this Valkyrie. They don't res Miro, why? Because he wants to change to Orisa here.
Now a little bit more of that static style for the Seoul Dynasty, set up either on the payload or around it. Having a mobile shield can definitely be worthwhile here, and Bunny's going to be switching over towards the McCoy.
Yeah, you need that shield to deal with Dante playing the Junkrat. The Baby Bay actually goes over to Zarya, because maybe he's thinking that there's going to be a Junkrat of their own.
Dak also getting blown up. The self-destruct really getting the job done, and Nomi's is in no man's land right now. Completely out of position. Nevix, the D-suited Diva, is going to be dealt with here. And the San Francisco Shock are struggling to play coordinated Overwatch here. Seoul are poking and prodding, finding their weaknesses and unraveling them like a bad Christmas sweater. Fletter, it's a chance for a Dragon Blade that might just seal the deal.
San Francisco will have both of their support ults here, and Flutter just reflect with the mine right back in Dante's face. That's going to force Dak to use Valkyrie. Toby's going to use his Valkyrie as well, keeping everybody topped up here for Seoul Dynasty. And you're going to wait if you're Flutter, right? Probably get your Transcendence plus Dragon Blade combo online.
Both teams have the Trans, no one's Sleepy needs to reserve. He is for that particular Dragon Blade. BabyBay is able to cut through the defense matrix of Zumba there as well, but it's two for Bunny. How does he find these in these situations? Both Nomi and BabyBay are down. Bunny's found a third of that stack. 3 kills already for the McCree here. Give him a little bit of space and he does wonders with it. He's like a, interior redecorator, except it's more of the macabre kind. Desperately out towards the point with Sleepy on the Tracer, and Nomi drops in as well. But again, San Francisco Shock finished the round the way they started, completely jumbled up and out of sync with one another.
And I think the Shock, they go triple tank there towards the end because they expect Junkrat to be in play for Seoul Dynasty. We can take a look. I believe this will be the self-destruct that comes in from Zumba around the corner. But just taking a peek at the stats, Mitch, BabyBay, when he switches over to Zarya, his average energy is only 8%. I mean, you're not really getting a ton of value out of that Zarya, right? Because there's no Junkrat spamming a lot of the heroes as they come on in. When they just bubble, whether it's Nomi or Nevix, you just don't put damage down with McCree or Orisa in that situation. And you're not really getting a ton of value out of that triple tank setup.
Is that the pick, really, into a non-Junkrat composition on that last stage?
I don't think so. I think you probably could have used like McCree, and then you could have used Junkrat as well, right? Because you would have had a little protection against Flood in your backline. You would have had somebody who could have just put down a ton of burst damage with Dante on Junkrat. So maybe you could have made like McCree Junkrat work there at the end, but I think Junkrat is so prevalent in that last stage of the map that you probably expect some kind of switch out of Seoul Dynasty. But instead of having Junkrat, they went with McCree. They went Orisa McCree.
Again, it gives them the ability to sort of prevent charging up an enemy's Aya. For a McCree player, it's easy enough to avoid shooting targets that have the particle barrier on them. So again, incidental damage is very common if you're playing Junkrat. It doesn't help you. I tell you what, man, one of the weaknesses we've identified in San Francisco Shock in a streaky season or a streaky first stage is that their aptitude in identifying a situation and actually formulating the appropriate response has been a little bit interesting. They've come up with some interesting answers to what they're seeing in terms of enemy team comps.
Yeah, it seems like they haven't really adjusted much since the beginning of the season. I think the one kind of map you look at specifically is like Horizon Lunar Colony. They just really haven't figured that one out. It'll be Zumba firing some micro rockets, trying to get some charge. As BabyBay will be playing Pharah here. It'll be Flutta with the Pharah on defense. So mirror comps coming out from both sides.
Now, what's the answer for BabyBay? He struggled going the 1v1, in the Pharah sense against Fleta earlier on here. Perhaps he avoids Fleta and tries to get damage elsewhere, but he can't. He can't get away from the guy. He needs a direct rocket hit. But Dante's finished the job. So BabyBay gets early damage on towards a D.Va mech, and then it's done. BabyBay found Zumba, though, desuited and now destitute. But again, another shot, and Fleta is trying to track BabyBay. Wherever he goes, another one. This guy is being forced to respect the master of Pharah.
Yeah, it's so difficult because he doesn't want to get to this Pharah v Pharah battle in the sky. Next with Run Rocket on to Toby. Wants to put pressure on those players on the ground. He did a great job, putting down a ton of damage on Zumba. They do get Toby out of the sky.
Oh, that's
Sleepy with a nice kill there on the bunny. That's huge.
Pulse bomb for Zumba. He has to back away, and now Dante can sort of pursue. He's found Jayhawk hiding in the cloisters, hoping to benefit from the defensive nature of that D.Va being there, but it's going to be to San Francisco to take this first point here rather quickly, and they got that Mercy to start it off.
Yeah, Dante finishing off Zumba at the beginning, right, getting him D-mech, and that starts to snowball for the San Francisco Shock. And I feel like he's been, speaking about Dante, one of the more improved players throughout stage one. Now we get some people on the payload here for the Shock. They can start to get it going, but his tracer play has improved significantly since the beginning of the season.
And we talked about one of the weaknesses of the Shock earlier on at the start of this round. And that one of the strengths is the no respect and the confidence that they can generate purely just from being there. They don't really need to work with momentum. They can generate their own kind of momentum, which, by the way, if you look at the laws of physics, is a very, very, very handy thing to have. So BabyBay with a barrage now will be looking for the optimal time to let that one go.
Yeah, but they can back out here. Toby has used his Valkyrie, so they're going to push a little bit further back as the San Francisco Shock have their own Valkyrie and Transcendence for this next fight. I think Seoul maybe thought that they were going to push up a little bit further at the top of the castle, try and take more real estate on the map, but the Shock are down by that choke as Fleta now trying to work behind enemy lines.
I mean, in all fairness, they have taken away a lot of that ground the Shock were hoping to use against them, which is going to allow them to contest a little bit more safely. But again, a lot hinges on this man. We've got a lot of Baby Baker action here at the moment. We need to see how he performs in this 1v1. He takes Fletter low. Again, Nomi could have been there to back up the damage, but he was otherwise occupied. And now Zuba wants to get to the backline. There's going to be a barrage from Baby Bay to try and stop Bunny. He actually gets both Zumba and Bunny, so he keeps his backline alive. That's perfect. And now's an opportunity here for the San Francisco Shock to keep working forward. Sleepy can hold the Transcendence. Baby Bay's back on his feet now. Miro trying to swing a few fists here. The San Francisco Shock coming out on top in that fight. Nicely done. It was brutal and it was scrappy, but they're getting there.
It was a really nice barrage from Baby Bay, but Nomi actually pops Primal Rage and knocks some players down from the bridge back towards the payload, back towards Baby Bay. And then he goes and finishes off Jaehong at the end, who pops his Transcendence, just pushes him out of play. So you can see here, we'll watch it from Baby Bay's POV.
He's watching Zumba, look. Straight to the back line. He knew he had to peel, and he did a great job of that as well. Beautiful stuff. Now we're on to the last fight of this particular stage here. Self-destruct throwing down, but Sleepy got taken down to the backline by a Pulse Bomb. That might be a little bit difficult. Nevix desperately turning his head, trying to prevent the damage coming in from the barrage, but no, there's too much damage from too many different directions. And the Seoul Dynasty hold just outside the gate, and the issue is that's a heck of a long walk back for the San Francisco Shock, Matt, especially without support ultimates.
Yeah, it's going to be a long trip back. They're going to have to force out one of these support ultimates. Jaehong will end up getting his at 72%. So it's the same thing we saw on Seoul's offensive side. As soon as they recognize Baby Bay switch, they go Genji, but he's actually able to take out Jaehong. It's going to be Toby not going to use the Valkyrie, going to res him right back up.
Okay, so that positioning for a Widowmaker is actually very strong if you have, good space control and defenders there, because it's really hard for Seoul to actually kill him without a Widowmaker of their own. He's so far away from them. And he forces the Resurrect. He doesn't force a Valkyrie though, so in terms of them advancing through this map and actually achieving their win conditions, they haven't really gotten any further than they were before.
Bunny connects with the Pulse Bomb on a Sleepy. He'll get res right back up as Bunny will take out Nevix, demech him as well. So now Seoul starting to push on forward, just trying to get more map real estate. You don't want to let Baby Bay get set up in that high ground position yet again with Widowmaker, because
you just pick one every time at least.
Well, what do? I mean, you have to have Miro jump at him, right? Turn his body so he doesn't get headshot in midair, or have Fleta use his reflect and jump in and kind of go attack him. And at that moment, San Francisco can just have both of their supports and Nomi just standing right on top of them, just bait people in.
Seoul don't want to put themselves in a position where they actually have to be the aggressor and do the dive up into that top corner. They'd much prefer if San Francisco had to sort of come to them, and then they would be able to respond and be reactive instead of proactive, perhaps, as a defending team. Collecting information now, of course. They got some players up on the high ground, and Bunny's hoping just to eliminate some supports here. But first, it's going to be Nevix who's going to cop a little bit of a beating here. Nevix just caught a Pulse Bomb. Not really the intended location, but Bunny's not any worse for it in terms of HP. Can still harass Nevix down. He's going to be very low on defense matrix charge, I think it's safe to say. He just tried to throw himself at the point for a self-destruct and a quick resuit. Impossible. But again, the Shock aren't making any real progress just yet.
And Seoul was able to force out Transcendence. So you got one support ult out. Toby will now use his Valkyrie. It's on deck now. When does he decide to use his Valkyrie? Toby will bring Fleta back into the action. The kill's still here, going in favor of San Francisco.
See, look how costly the dive is for the Seoul Dynasty, and in the meantime, the payload's moving forward. Fleta all of a sudden needs to throw himself back at the payload to stop it from moving. And he's there, as well as a Transcendence from Jaehong, but a Dragon Blade is probably not something he would like to use right now. He'd like to save it, but losing Toby might force his hand here. Baby Bay getting rezzed up after getting taken down for the second time in this fight by Bunny. And now Fleta's starting to sweat a little bit more. Miro has fallen. The Widowmaker is doing work, and it's time for the Blade. He's looking for Sleepy now. Doesn't get him, though, because Baby Bay slaps him back down. What a shutdown from the Widowmaker here in the San Francisco Shock, and that'll get him that second checkpoint.
It's the amount of resources they have to dedicate to get Baby Bay that ends up losing Seoul Dynasty at second portion of the map. They have to dive him so deep as now Dante will take out Toby. And they were having so much trouble that at the end of Valkyrie, Toby was flying across the map at Baby Bay, just trying to put some shots at him, scare him back a little bit. They had Miro jump at him and Fleta yet again. It's just not enough. It's now, it'll force Baby Bay to switch off of Widowmaker this last portion of the map. Not great for her. So look, now that there's a jump on the other side, now he's got some energy on the Zarya.
Yeah, perhaps a better choice on the attacking side, or at least into that Junkrat. Good self-destruct. Miro falls foul of that one, and now they're going to try and jump on towards Zumba here. Baby Bay just cutting through him. Zumba trying to stay alive and keep himself scarce, but Miro dies a second time in a space of 5 seconds. Care of the Pulse Bomb from Dunter. Baby Bay wants more, though. You know he wants it. He goes straight in towards the rest of the Seoul Dynasty. Fleta down, and Bunny now just trying to trickle in, keep it stalled out. But it looks like the San Francisco Shock will not be stopped, Matt. Looks like the last fight here as the Seoul Dynasty can't hold on. We're going to switch towards that Widowmaker here. Miro looking low. He's down, so we're going to get desuited, but a self-destruct might keep him in this fight. We'll see as they pressure on, but Fletter's out towards the side. He's already taken about half of his HP's worth of damage. Toby's on the payload though. He's down now. We're at the Seoul Dynasty. Bunny with being removed, nowhere to be seen. The Shock get it home.
You see on that side how effective Zarya can be against Junkrat. His average charge there, average energy is 22%. So it's up much higher than the first half, but obviously some of that kind of incorporates some of his stats.
Well, it's also a long walk back for an attacking hero as well. So
it's a combination of the walk back in the first half, but every time we were on board with him, he was at like 50 to 60 charge.
the issue for me, now having seen both teams attack on this map, is not San Francisco's ability to sort of push through the map and be aggressive. That seems to be something that is up in their wheelhouse. It's the first point, and it's holding the first point. Yeah. They're now behind by about a minute in terms of time bank. So where they would make that up, theoretically, would be on that first point. They're going to be attacking first, of course, with a lesser time bank. They must neutralize Fletter early in the fight. Baby Bay, we've seen him hit a couple of those body shots on towards, Fletter with the Pharah versus Pharah battle, and that's all well and good. They must neutralize Fletter instead of trying to ignore him and deal with the rest of his teammates, because if you give Fletter room, he is going to punish you for, for not respecting him.
Yeah, I think it's really that Pharah v Pharah battle. If you can connect with that first rocket onto the enemy Pharah, or even Mercy, and just have that Mercy drop off of the Pharah, then it allows your Pharah, whoever connects that direct hit rocket, to put the extra damage down on the ground, because you're not really going to have to worry about that other Pharah in the sky.
The last time San Francisco managed to take this point, they removed Toby from the fight first. They actually dived on him with D.Va and with Nomi on the Winston, so that's something that they probably want to see here. Notice no early Widowmaker play from the San Francisco shot. They're not really, messing around.
You only have a minute. I mean, there's no reason to kind of, waste a few seconds with the Widowmaker at the beginning of the game when Flood is not going to peek. He's going to play around that center pole.
Miro in early, but again, characteristically, always seems to have his jump pack off cooldown to escape to safety. Baby Bay is a little bit worried right now, but he's hit Fletter with that first rocket. Almost found a second, and desperately Toby's going to jump to him with Guardian Angel and keep him topped up. That's another direct hit. Baby Bay has to complete these kills to give his team that peace of mind on the ground. But again, close, no cigar. Again, Fletter really wants to fight this one. These two are happy to go head to head. That's where the San Francisco Shock are going to get their advantage, though, when Baby Bay cops another direct hit.
There'll be LRS, Nomi back up. Dante is behind enemy line.
5 seconds.
Has to get on the point. You see Dante just trying to play for that high ground. He will touch point here for San Francisco.
Baby Bay takes another 2 direct hits to the Rockets. It was off Scream, but Fletter gets rid of him, and that's been the problem for the Shock here. They've got no one that can really stand up to that man, and Fletter now is starting to do work. Nevix is going to get desuited. You can see Dante trying to keep himself at arm's length from enemies on the point, but he can't really keep it stalled out. He's forced to back away. 2 blinks used, and he's out of them now. Blink twice if you're in danger, 3 times if you want to run out of cooldowns. Now it's going to be Sleepy and Nomi up on the point. Transcendence desperately employed to elongating this fight. Nomi's got a bit of a lone time on the point, but Bunny wants to harass him. Sunba, that's big. 2 kills for him. And the Shock gets shut the heck down.
So Fletter picks up that first kill on Baby Bay, goes around the corner of the pole, drags Nomi all the way off of the point because he's just trying to put any damage, block him out. Goes all the way back around the pole, gets a D-Mech on Nevix, finishes him off, and oh, by the way, he's still alive. Nobody on San Francisco ever was able to kill him. Like how we talked about how you have to dedicate so many resources to get Baby Bay out of that position with the Widowmaker. Flood is the same way on Pharah. Once he kills that enemy Pharah, it's just game over. I mean, there's nothing you can do to get him out of that sky.
Like I said, close but no cigar for Baby Bay in a couple of those engagements. Fletter has the confidence of a man who believes himself to be immortal, of course. But a couple of those direct hits were there. Again, there wasn't much finish up. Imagine a world where Baby Bay's able to engage Fletter close enough to the ground where he gets that first direct hit, and then someone like Nevix or Nomi is actually able to get deep enough in to actually get extra damage on and actually jump on that. That's how the Shock did it the first time, Matt. They managed to jump on Toby after he took a hit from Baby Bay.
It's crazy that a team with a guy like Fletter, how good he is, and Jaehong, they right now is statistically not looking good for this stage playoffs. This team has so much talent. Now it'll be the San Francisco Shock on defense. Only 2 minutes and 7 seconds here for Seoul Dynasty to attack. And just to remind you, they need map wins. They need a 4-0 result in this match to stay alive for the playoffs.
To even give themselves a chance.
Yes, to give themselves a shot, yes.
So the plan is, again, for attackers on this map, Fletter, once he deals with Baby Bay, or if he has a little bit of peace and quiet without having to worry about the other Pharah, get damage down onto the grounded targets and wait for Bunny to follow up with a Tracer to complete the kills. That's the plan. What might have happened though, Fletter's actually been felled by Baby Bay here.
Yeah, and he
The one
dies.
time he gets in, we don't get to see him.
And he dies in a spot where you're not going to be able to get res, and they're going to push all the way on forward, really deep. Baby Bay's up top in the building, and Dante's there to finish off Jaehong, so you're going to have to wait for him to come off of spawn. As Baby Bay's built up a nice advantage in terms of ultimates with Pharah, right? 47% to just 16 on the other side. Toby, though, much closer to Valk than Dak.
Baby Bay was pretty confident that Fletter wouldn't switch to Widow to try and snipe him there because he was picked over right in sight line of the spawn doorway for attackers. Confidence there, no doubt about it. It didn't prove to be his undoing, so fair's fair. Nobody's just getting slapped in the corner though, Fletter nailing him. No kill, so it just equals ult percentage for Dak.
Seoul is playing this real slow here as Toby gets hit with a rocket. He's extremely weak.
Toby's down.
Yeah, and then what happened there is Nevix jumps up, gives a little bit of a defense matrix where Baby Bay allows him to get a free
It might
shot
not
there
matter
at
though,
Toby.
Matt. It may not matter. Baby Bay's up over the top here and Fletter might not already have his healing available right now, and that's where Dunton looked to strike. Fletter cut down to half. The Tracer was pursuing him on foot. Nevix being brought back now, and hopefully a re-super. Dak has to give his life up, and Nevix can't even get back in the mech. That's not what you want at all. Baby Bay has to go off the point to try and hit a barrage, and they've handed the map over to the Seoul Dynasty.
That is one where the San Francisco Shock, they get that early pick in the fight, and then everything falls apart. They have to res Nevix. Dak getting very close to Valkyrie. If Nevix gets back in, maybe it stays alive a little bit. Dak gets some of that healing on the tank. They're able to get Valkyrie, maybe swing that fight back.
There you have it. First map, Seoul just a little bit better at the old 1-2 punch. We're going to head down to the floor for a bit with Malik.
Woo, that's a big win for the Seoul Dynasty right there. Now, as we all know, the Seoul Dynasty suffered a tough loss at the hands of the LA Valiant earlier this week, and we've actually been following them around in our latest edition of Social Studies. If you want to take part in this week's episode, make sure you tweet us with the hashtag Social Studies. And don't worry, we will do our best to read all of your tweets. But in the meantime, let's take a sneak peek.
As we see, basically, Seoul is just... Oh,
that's the
is-
third time.
Oh,
We've called them the greats, the best on the planet, but right now they are the gatekeeper at 6-2. They control their destiny. A win over the Valiant today is going to help further their case to make a run in these playoffs. As
Valiant will win this series 3-0 and move ahead of Seoul Dynasty in the standing.
They are, for the moment, our final seed for the stage playoffs, but we have a lot of Overwatch still to play this week.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
류재용, 서울 다이너스티.
Here comes Jaehong, the Anna God himself.
This is the man to watch out for. He potentially is the best player in the world, really.
제가 이 류재용이란 이름은 제 실명인데 이 아이디를 쓰게 된 이유는 저희 한국에서 어떻게 보면 게이머들은 다 닉네임이란 걸 쓰잖아요. 근데 저는 제 실명을 씀으로써 좀 다른 사람들과 좀 다르게.
Oh, are you kidding me? Every time I feel like I've seen the top Jaehong play of all time.
한국의 군대는 이제 성인이 되면은 무조건 가야 돼요. 저는 공군을 나왔고요. 공군은 제가 24살 때, 지금은 27살이고 군대도 어떻게 보면 협동으로 하는 그런 것들이 많았기 때문에 도움이 된다고 생각해요.
Oh, that's a lot of damage from Jaehong. Look at that! And there's another clip for Reddit.
팀을 위해서 제 목표는 당연히 우승이죠. 우승을 위해서 모든 것을 할 거고 많은 지원을 할 겁니다.
Well, your boy Jaehong may have left the Air Force, but he's still flying high. However, Seoul Dynasty as a unit have not had the first stage we would have liked to have had. We've all been plagued by sickness here, players and casters alike, trust me. But again, they've had some substitutions. Seoul Dynasty work with so many of these, secondary DPS players. So perhaps they just haven't found the golden formula yet.
I think Bunny has looked really good playing Tracer for this team, and I know in map number 2 we do have a sub for Seoul Dynasty. It'll be Wakid that comes in. So Wakid does play a lot of the Junkrat here when they want to run like Junkrat Widow, like Wakid will come in, he'll play that. Oh, actually, so it's Munchkin and Wakid that come in, to be honest. So this is interesting. Okay. So we don't have Fleta in here. So I just assumed that they were just going to bring Wakid in for Bunny, but they bring Munchkin in for Fleta. So that's interesting after seeing how good Fleta was there.
When was the last time we saw Seoul Dynasty run without Fleta?
Against Shanghai Dragons. That was probably the last time we saw them play without Fleta.
Right. If you're the San Francisco Shock, I think the only thing this does is just fuel your desire to punish here. Perhaps, the Defiance. This is a team, by the way, with no respect. We know the San Francisco boys love to get a bit of rough and tumble on. They see a lineup without Fleta, they're going to be out for blood.
Especially on a map like Anubis, you take him out, or a map where you could, it does kind of get interesting where, you do have teams, when we go to point B, struggle, take that point sometimes within time. It's, I know, interesting to take him out of the lineup. We'll see what Seoul Dynasty decides to do. At least they know you're leaving Jaehong in, right? I guess that's the best part about it, as I know a lot of people talking why you take him out of the lineup, put Guido in. I think it's a team, Mitch, to be honest, I think they're just worried about the long haul. I think they haven't kind of bought into we need to be the best team right now. I think they're in the mindset of, this season's going to be long. Let's plan. Look, their record's going to be great, right? They're always going to be in contention. I think they're not really kind of throwing all their eggs in this one basket in stage 1. They're kind of building for the future.
Here's the thing, right? There's two sides to the coin. A lot of people are sort of freaking out about the performance or lack thereof of their team right now. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's fair to say you guys need to sort yourselves out and relax because there's 4 stages. But at the other end of the spectrum, this is the only stage of the Overwatch League we've ever had. So people's scale or the scope of their experience with the Overwatch League has only been one stage. So it's very easy for people to overreact perhaps a little bit about how their team's performing when this is the first stage ever.
Again, it's not a team that leaves with a record whether it's Florida or Shanghai, right? They're going to finish, potentially they win this series 7-3. They're going to finish in the upper echelon of the league. Their record is going to be very good. It's just they may miss out by in terms of map count and whatnot on the stage playoffs. On defense, Baby will play Widow, Dante will play Junkrat, and they'll play a little bit close. So this is the new strategy we've been seeing. We saw a lot of people set up on the high ground. Now it'll be Baby playing close with Widowmaker. When they start to dive in, he'll jump back out to this position.
And again, Seoul are playing the same composition they would have played with Fleta in the lineup on this map. It would have been a Genji. Less likely we'd see the Widowmaker given the presence of the Orisa on the enemy team. It makes life just a little bit harder. Baby is not protected fully by that shield, of course. It only covers a very small amount of his model, if at all, depending on the viewing angle of the attacker. So he still needs to keep his wits about him, but note that there's going to be easy peel for Nevix to run back to him. And Munchkin seems to have fallen just to a stray grenade will be brought back.
That Venomine from Baby connects with Wakid, who's playing Genji, just trying to go all the way around on that right-hand side, potentially set up a flank. So the dive comes in here for Seoul. Ooh, Jaehong almost connects with a few orbs right to Baby's face.
Baby hits a big headshot there, and that helps him chuck Miro down awfully fast. Does he want to play up close here? Baby a little bit concerned about Wakid flanking far right. He'll have no company for the time being. It's just Munchkin tickling the point. Oh, Jaehong! Okay, tries to assassinate there, but doesn't quite finish off Baby Bay. Backs off.
And Seoul is pretty split right now. There's Wakid and Zumba who are behind, Munchkin who's now on the point, and then both supports are stuck by the bridge. You see, both supports do fall. San Francisco realizes they're both alone and jumps right on the opportunity to get both of them.
Baby Bay there as well, continuing his damage output consistently from the high ground, but Wakid finally has found him. And by all appearances, it seems that he's playing him. Yeah, it might have been long-range shuriken damage. Wakid is still embedded in the backline. You can see a very faint outline on the right side of your screen. Now you won't see it, but he's in the back line, so we'll have to see a different setup position for Baby Bay here.
And Zumba's all the way in the back there with Wakid, pretty much by the mega health pack, by the archway as we go towards point B. He is now wrapped all the way back out. Wakid's still behind enemy lines, getting close to a Dragon Blade, but he is actually all the way on that top archway by point B right now.
I mean, Seoul are trying to, you know, get some sort of pincer set up.
From multiple angles.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, that's how pincers work.
Well, we saw, remember it was the Gladiators who actually had this situation, right, where Surfer was behind enemy lines for so long and it backfired.
All right, Mercy's down though, so this is going to be tough for the Dynasty. They're going to have no resurrects here, and Munchkin realizes that he's probably going to be the only player on the point for the duration of that fight. It has to be a big plug pull for Seoul.
And Zumba goes on the flank to try and get with Wakid, and Nevix like isolates him. No help from Wakid comes in and just gets demected and taken out. So you still have this set up for Seoul Dynasty. Only a minute 23 seconds on the clock. You can still see where he is. Ooh, and he's actually around that corner on the left-hand side, so Baby Bay can.
It's going to be a Dragon Blade, surely. Oh, Baby Bay now spots him out. Reflect is there. Baby Bay's still fairly healthy now. Wakid forced to give up his position. Supercharger being drawn out, though, and you can see the Shocker keeping that fairly well defended by the convex shielding Orisa will offer. Looks like the fight may well have started here. The very disjointed start, to say the least, and now it's going to be a Dragon Blade. Baby Bay is low. He's going to hold on to it. Oh, that's how you get back at him, though. Baby Bay across the way cleans up Wakid, and it looks like it'll be all over for the Widowmaker. He was down to about 10, 20 HP.
Yeah, and they'll use Valkyrie to bring both tanks back up. So Miro's back in the action. Same with Zumba. Dak gets out of harm's way, just trying to hold on to his Valkyrie. You see Baby Bay just trying to connect on some shots of players leaving. So now Wakid holds on to Dragon Blade. They did burn Valkyrie during that fight. The Shock were able to hold on to both their support ults here, Mitch. 30 seconds left. You need a big Transcendence Dragon Blade combination. The bad part is you have both support ults for the Shock online.
I can't believe we're seeing this from the Shock. This is an ironclad defense, inexorable in fact. Like Fort Knox up in this. But let's see if it remains to be that way now. Of course, as a Seoul Dynasty, you're going to be propelled forward by desperation, if nothing else, with only 7 seconds left in this round. It could. Dante looking to burn some rubber. It could be a big opportunity now. Miro goes in high. Doesn't spot anyone early on, and now the Riptide could be crucial. He's going to be looking. Oh, no, he's going to go with Wakid here. Jaehong's down early in the fight, though, and this is where it all begins. Self-destruct hits to the skies as Zumba tries to make it happen, but Nomi's knocked away. Miro lands on Baby Bay and removes the Widow. Wakid is back.
Yeah, but now Toby, he only has the one res. Has to use it on Wakid. You don't get your own Transcendence. As now the Transcendence comes in from Sleepy. The kills come in from the Shock.
Baby Bay's found him yet again. The wick is burning, and there's only just the one player inside. What?
So what happens is Jaehong and Wakid die at the same time. Seoul had used their Valkyrie in the last fight, so Toby has to make the decision. Do we res Wakid with Dragon Blade or Jaehong with Transcendence? They go and get Wakid into the fight, but Sleepy still has his own Transcendence. At the end there, you're not able to get anything with the Dragon Blade. A great defense from the San Francisco Shock. A puzzling offensive attack from Seoul Dynasty.
I'm going to put a voice to perhaps a question that many people, many fans of Seoul Dynasty are asking right now. You're playing a game, and let's be honest, there's a lot to be said. There's a very good reason to want to be in stage playoffs, right?
Yes.
Why, when you cannot afford to lose one map, do you substitute the way that you have? And clearly cause them to be a little bit listless, a little bit without direction. Seoul Dynasty had the players there, but they didn't execute well. They spent so much time trying to sneak around.
Yeah. It's the same thing that we saw from the Gladiators when they lost their match on Anubis last week, I believe. You had, whether it was your Tracer or Genji, go all the way on that flank, try and get towards that high ground, create that pinching attempt that never actually ended up happening. So, we'll see. Seoul Dynasty, they're in a very tough spot here, Mitch. As we talk about sometimes like the disparity between kills between teams. In that game, it's the Shock out-killing Seoul Dynasty 18-3.
This is curious now. Obviously, Sleepy there as well with key contributions removing Mercy. there's no Widowmaker in this. Okay, Munchkin switches back, or he was Mei, so he has to run back to spawn. I think Jaehong was on the low ground here, so they're going to play the classic sort of setup that we did sort of see. And I like this because this is going to force San Francisco to pony up and show us that they've got that sick dive ability.
Yes.
Right? We need to see them be coordinated. You have to be super on point with the rest of your teammates to break this kind of hole. And San Francisco didn't demonstrate that very well at all in the previous map. San Francisco work around individuals to a great degree, i.e. Baby Bay or others. They have to go now as a unit.
It's really what they've struggled with throughout stage 1, just really coordinating these attacks as a team. So you see Baby Bay firing some shots up at Munchkin on the high ground. Dante's actually working behind him, so they're trying to get a lot of pressure on Munchkin on the high ground.
Now Munchkin can challenge this because you can't see that Toby is in his vicinity. So there is always mercy healing, never too far away. Nevix has already taken down Jaehong. Jaehong the only player on the ground, by the way. There was already a couple that were there. But Munchkin's found Dante, so it's been responded to. No, Baby Bay's gonna hit that one. He does, he gets the headshot. Shuriken's claimed the Widowmaker, and now he wants more. Toby, he's been the target to get rid of him if he didn't want to deal with Resurrects. But Toby escapes. He gets across and he brings Munchkin back. Now Baby Bay needs to be careful, needs to respect the Widow up on high. There's also a Junkrat right behind him, but a dash into towards Zuba kills 2 birds with 1 stone. And Wakid's also down. It was Nemix to clean that kill up. And the aforementioned individuals back on the point. Toby desperately spraying away with a Caduceus Blaster. What is going on? Seoul Dynasty may have fed their only chance to get into the playoffs straight over to the San Francisco Shock. San Francisco up on the point now, and they've done it! They get themselves a second map in this series, but it means so much more.
Seoul Dynasty needed a 4-0 today to keep their playoff chances alive. And the Shock end that by taking Temple of Anubis.
I'll tell you what, Matt. There's going to be no difference between Reddit and Mordor next time you check it. It's getting real. There's going to be a lot of unhappy fans, but the Shock come back, and perhaps more of a series than we would have expected is on the way.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. Blizzard Arena, it's time to wake up because we got a match on our hands. The Shock take Anubis, and that means this series is currently at 1 apiece. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Puckett alongside Bren and Crumbs. And coming into this, we did our predictions backstage. We're like, all right, Seoul knows what's on the line. They need a 4-0 to even have a chance of getting into the playoffs. Well, that chance is now gone out the window. Let's start here with the initial reactions. Bren, what did you think when you were watching that Anubis match?
Absolutely appalling, to be honest. I'm so disappointed in general. I mean, we're going to be going to the Icon Vault playlist here. Seoul, this is a team, right? And I mean, Crumbs, you can disagree, you can agree with me all you want here.
Bren.
This is a team. We got that basis down, but are they a good team? Not quite. They seem to be putting in so much emphasis onto Fleta, and frankly, you know, losing that game against Shock, or losing that map, I should say, they're a team that don't deserve to be in the playoffs when they're making plays like that.
I can agree with that statement because this is just leaving so many question marks around this team. How did they get to this point? And we have some of the answers, which a lot of this revolves around Fleta, right? We've been watching Fleta, especially here with the Pharah, and it seems like the team really just lives and dies by his aerial prowess. How well can he beat down the other Pharah? And he actually does a lot more damage to the other Pharah. I think he had 12 to 6 final blows comparatively to Baby Bay, but he still does less damage, so he's focusing so much on the aerial war that the ground war isn't quite being as helped as it could have been, as opposed to the other Pharahs that just say, you know what, all right, you're going to whale me down, I'm just going to try to help the rest of the team. It's a bit more teamwork oriented, and teamwork is exactly what the Seoul Dynasty need.
Yeah, and what's really ticking me off as well is, like, I'm glad you mentioned the teamwork aspect, because in general, it seems to just not be there, right? Ryu Jae-hong, we constantly see this guy going on these mental flanks across the maps.
He was at the backside in Eichenwald, remember that one?
How does that happen, right? Firstly, how do you let somebody get away with that?
Sneaky.
But also, right, how, like, again, it's so high risk, high reward, because yes, you might get a kill as the Zenyatta, but if you die, suddenly your team is facing a 5v6 disadvantage, and the push is dead in the water almost immediately. So it's super risky plays like this, and it's got me wondering, like, what happened to Seoul Dynasty? They in the past, they wouldn't be making these sort of plays.
Is there anyone playing as dominant as they had in the past for Seoul Dynasty, or is the whole team taking a step back?
It's only Fleta that's the one that's really been stepping up, but the thing is, he's just a DPS. You don't really have a lot of setup as a DPS. You stand and deliver, and that's about it. You need your tanks to set you up. Your supports dictate how much you can stay in the battle, and as long as that's not there, then all he can do is just try to win the aerial war and get subbed out of Temple of Anubis, which makes sense because they did it before. Having Wakid put in as a Junkrat, and you have Bunny, I think it was, or Munchin as a Tracer player, so you have those two, but Fleta's on fire. Fleta's been carrying. Why would you take him out?
That was my big question for you guys next, because as we look through Anubis, Fleta is missing. Yes, you got Wiki back in the action. You're going to keep running Munchkin throughout this game, but why not bring Fleta on Anubis? Is this Seoul trying to just keep certain players on specific maps? That was sad to watch.
It really was.
What could be going through? What would the reason be behind benching a guy like Fleta?
I mean, again, I find myself asking that question. The only thing I've got really in my mind as an actual reason is that they've got set pocket strategies with these players involved, right? They want the Munchkin and Weekid because they want to be running them on specific circumstances with these set plays. And I actually saw a good example of, like, these set plays. That's what Seoul were trying to do. But again, it was absolute madness. It was like I was watching some North American Contenders Season 1. Like, this is not what I expect from Seoul Dynasty in the slightest. We had Ryu Jae-hong and Toby going on a little adventure at the back lines of Anubis, trying to basically show them the sights of Egypt. And, like, honestly, it's got me wondering what the heck is going on here.
Well, you know, they had Jae-hong going for the 1v1 in the high ground against Baby Bates Widowmaker, which you don't really take 1v1s as Zen into that. And then tires come out and you're thinking, okay, the tire is going to get deflected by somebody. And there's two supports chilling by themselves in just a room, right?
It was sad.
We don't know why they're doing it.
So let's talk big picture here. And do we have to say that Seoul is taking a step backwards? Is there an argument that the Shock is playing up to the Seoul Dynasty right now?
I can't see any difference in the way Shock have been playing now and how they have played in the past at all, right? I think the argument is, honestly, the onus is entirely on Seoul here for underperforming massively from what we know that they can play to these levels at. Yeah, okay, all right.
Well, I think we have to, no, I agree with you, but I think there's a lot of pressure coming into the team right now, right? You wouldn't have expected the team that we hyped up so much in the beginning to now be facing, you have to 4-0 perfectly and then hope that other teams do really well because things didn't go your way the entire season or the entire stage. So I think that it actually might be getting to their heads of how difficult the situation that they're in compared to where we placed them in the beginning.
And that's so weird, because Seoul
It's a championship-winning team, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a championship-winning team. Like, in what world does this happen with these players? They've played on this LAN environment, on the big stage, in front of massive crowds. They shouldn't be getting nervous. They should be performing under pressure, like we've seen them doing. And it honestly just gets me angry, to be honest, because it's like, where is the issue lying here? I know Zoe talked about in the pre-show.
I like the pre-show.
Yeah, with Ryu Jae-hong about rumors in the background in the Korean scene. Is he stepping up as a leader? And I think it's definitely like bleeding in. You don't even need to look at the rumors. You just need to watch the games that are in front of us, and you can see there's a clear issue in terms of whether it's communication or what, but there is no coordination with this squad.
With that said, how do we see the second half playing out, starting with you, Crumbs?
It's pretty simple. You just slow everything down, and then if you're Seoul Dynasty, you look at yourself, is everybody here ready to fight? Yes? Okay, now we can do something. No? Don't do anything. Just wait for it. Just go back to basics. It's a pretty simple game. You got ults, you use them, you don't die, and you play as a team.
Bren, how does the second half end? Does Shock walk away with the victory today?
I feel like it's going to be a 3-1 for Seoul still.
Okay.
I'm not going to be going with Shock here. As much as I've been, you know, dragging Seoul down with me, I don't think it's going to be the case. And I mean, I expect Shock to be sticking with, again, the same consistent play style. And I might be having too high hopes here for Seoul Dynasty, given what we've seen. But I'm just not expecting it at all. Again, like, they're a team that can adapt on the fly. I want to see it in this game. They should be able to manage it. And I've got some Pachimaris behind me.
Angry Bren is my favorite Bren, especially when he's being teased by the audience. Shout out to you guys in the crowd. The Shock are behind. Well, in theory, in the rankings today, you could clean up some big ground, but you're going up against the Seoul Dynasty. And last week, we saw Seoul Dynasty take down the Houston Outlaws. Now, this matchup was extremely close, but there was a pivotal moment where things were almost going sour for the Dynasty. Semler has the breakdown of what happened in this edition of The Turning Point, brought to you by Sour Patch Kids, the candy.
This is really bad for Seoul. This could be it. This could be full hold for Houston.
When the Seoul Dynasty and Houston Outlaws met in Week 4, the Dynasty were already down one map when the Outlaws' defense forced overtime on Point A of Horizon Lunar Colony. It looked like the Outlaws would hold, but Ryu Jae-hong turned clutch. First, as Sombra, he takes out Jake's Riptire, saving his teammates. Then, with Raucous and Cool Mac coming back from spawn, Jae-hong would use EMP ult to hack the 4 remaining Outlaws on the point. Without Mercy's res, 76's healing biotic field, or Orisa's fortification, Fleta took advantage of the situation and hacked him to bits with his Dragon Blade.
Everybody with that one. Oh, that was a big one.
That was a good one. Fleta gonna clean it up with the big Dragon Blade 2.
The Dynasty would take the point, the map, and would end up winning arguably the best match of Stage 1. That was the turning point where Jae-hong helped the Dynasty turn a sour moment into something sweet. Presented by Sour Patch Kids Candy.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone.
at the beginning of the season that the Seoul Dynasty would barely miss the Stage 1 playoffs, I would have told you to get out, get out. But the San Francisco Shock have proven themselves to be too strong, and here we are all knotted up 1-1. So to get us started with the second half, let's send it on over to Mr. X and Uber.
Thank you very much, Malik. And yeah, a stunned silence perhaps for some of us who are still processing perhaps the implications or what happened in general on that second map, Matt. But suffice to say, Seoul have some recovering to do.
you run the lineup that they ran out there with Wakid and Munchkin because you want Tracer and you think Wakid's your best Junkrat, and Munchkin can also play Widowmaker as well. And you see Bunny coming in here, and Fleta will come back into the lineup here for the next map. Personally, I think if you're going to go down, just go down with your best players in the lineup, right? It's kind of hard to see Fleta come out of the game and then drop one, but I do understand what Seoul Dynasty was going there.
So they had an idea, right?
Yeah.
We've actually seen this before. So there have been some decisions that have been made, by Seoul in terms of their subbing in and out that to us have kind of seemed a bit strange or a bit inscrutable, right?
To be fair, we've seen a lot of teams make some really weird subs throughout stage 1.
That's true. And again, sometimes you come into a game with an idea, you stick to it, it doesn't work out, and you're back to the drawing board, but that's the way it goes. It's a 1-1 right now. But we're headed for sunnier shores, Matt. Ilios is going to be our third map of this series. Control is where we're going to be landing here. And we'll see. Can the San Francisco Shock, I talked about them, a team who doesn't need to build up their own momentum. It's kind of always there. But I wonder what they can do with now some of the aforementioned behind them going into a map.
Ilios, on the positive side for Seoul Dynasty, Toby can play some Lucio, Fleta can play Pharah, Ruins.
Jayhawk can play Overwatch.
Yeah, Ruins. Ruins, you can see Fleta play Widow. And then I know maybe you see Dak play a little bit more Lucio on the side of the San Francisco Shock. That's the support hero he definitely would prefer to play. Obviously, been playing Mercy, so dominant in this meta. Then I know we'll see that Baby Bay, Widow and Pharah battle versus Fleta yet again.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see them probably go head-to-head on all stages of this particular map. If you're Baby Bay, you probably don't want to allow Fleta to be left to his own devices. You've got to pressure him. You've got to make him respect. And Baby Bay hoping to flex on Seoul even harder than his black and white Instagram photos. We're going to be in just a second now. We're going to be starting on well.
You saw the stat. Baby Bay and Flood are the top two DPS players on Ilios. Just because of strong Pharah and Widowmaker play.
Two teams that orbit around individual DPS players. Seoul, even more than we expected. And of course, San Francisco has kind of become their trademark by now.
Sleepy will play Mercy here. Doc will play Lucio. So you see how fast just moving around here.
He's looking for old mate Jayhawk. He's got coast to coast. He's hoping to get in there and ruffle some feathers.
He's so far behind.
This is classic
right
Jack, by the way, yeah. Yeah, this is pretty standard stuff. Fleta now, again, takes a moment to just pay attention to other Dak, are you good? Dante helps him out and picks off Jayhawk, and they're starting to bully him, getting his head a little bit now. But the point was taken by Seoul. They had more players in the vicinity at the time. The San Francisco Shock did not have the liberty of engaging.
And Dak and Dante still behind enemy lines for the San Francisco Shock.
Great poke.
Seoul Dynasty goes back and they try and deal with it, but now players are on the point for the Shock. They have to come back, respect the fact that the Shock could take the point here.
Zumba desuited. Baby Bay trying to knock him into the pit, but it was Dante. They got the job done regardless. 22% there, and Baby Bay almost flying a little bit too low, getting caught out by the pulse bomb there, but he nails one into Bunny. Now things are starting to move.
We were laughing, Dak and Dante so far behind Seoul Dynasty, but those two players just able to stay alive for so long opens up the opportunity for the Shock to take the point. Fleta connects with a rocket onto Dante, dies on the Seoul side of the map, so not going to be able to res that for the Shock.
Nomi there, a pit stop. Bit of a top up here on terms of his HP and then ready to go again. Just being buffeted into the side there. You can see the Zumba's trying to get that deeper in there, and Fleta is very low, but so is Nomi. He doesn't last. Fleta now cops a little bit of splash damage from Baby Bay, who didn't opt to go for a direct hit. Spotted Jayhong again, who may have to drop off that roof. Nomi's back, Miro's low. He's going to have to prime a rage to keep himself alive, and Baby Bay's considering his options here, potentially going for a barrage up close. He'd like to do that, and he does. Jayhong gets flattened, Zumba desuited, and it's not long to be held around for after the barrage was used. Both the suit and the Diva removed.
And you saw Baby Bay get hit with one rocket from Fleta, the rest eaten up by Nevix with his defense matrix. They're going to force out Transcendence here as well. As Seoul Dynasty still has some members on the point.
Dante waiting for that. Oh, that's it! He gets the stick. He was waiting for the Transcendence to tick over, and he found his target. Bunny now trying to make amends and trying to pick him up. But Dante's keeping himself scarce for the time being there. Down the well he goes, and Dak will follow. 69% to 23, the Shock are out in the lead.
Yeah, ults invested by both teams into that fight. Finally, Seoul Dynasty able to take it back. It was, Bunny and Miro who dove in deep. Jaehong does get hit with that pulse bomb, but as soon as Dante gets back into the fight, realizes 3 teammates are dead. No Valkyrie available.
Super. Just being a presence on the point for the time being. Trying to shrug off a little bit of the damage from Baby Bay with intermittent uses of that defense matrix. But eventually he's going to have to get involved in the fight. Eventually the San Francisco Shock are going to start on them here, but Dante's down early. That's not the opening they were looking for. Losing the Tracer, we're going to have to try and make up for it, but Bunny now is going to make it worse. The sole remaining Tracer's found 2, and Dak will fall. Again, as usual, deep in enemy territory.
Yeah, Dak and Nomi go on a flank to try and take out Jaehong. Is not enough. As the kills come in for Seoul Dynasty. This time, they don't allow Dak to just stay behind enemy lines, linger there for a while. Baby Bay will switch over to Widow, maybe just trying to get a shot from the spawn, doesn't see anything, goes over to McCree, so tells you they're having some issues here with Bunny, just flanking in the back line, and then also Flood in the sky.
Dante, again, more flash in the pan than damage being done at this stage. Using a lot of blinks here just to try and stay alive. Bunny's in though, he's found the pulse bomb. Baby Bay now fallen, there's going to have to be a resurrect at some stage. But Flood has been found, Nevix managed to find him, maybe he got too close to the ground. Rez is coming out, 2 from Sleepy, Dak and Baby Bay are back. Silver finds himself deep in enemy territory and under intense scrutiny, and he will go down to the self-destruct. Nevix now will have to be suited. Flood has found 2, or at least get to the suit and Nomi. It may take more than that though. He's awfully close to the ground, he's in dangerous territory, but no one's already pressuring him. He sees Dak and it's a parting gift in the form of a rocket as he gets himself back and airborne, and it's overtime now. Seoul Dynasty with control, Seoul Dynasty with poise in class, everything you expect from this team. And now they put 1 step out in front. 1-0 in round score.
Yeah, the Shock are fighting at the main choke, and Miro goes on the left-hand side, takes out Baby Bay, then pops Primal Rage and forces Nevix and Dak all the way back there, I believe. It just opens it up even more, that initial choke point onto that obviously control point there. It'll be Seoul Dynasty who takes that first point. Now it'll be interesting. We go over to Ruins. We're going to get to see Fleta versus Baby Bay in the Widowmaker battle. Baby Bay was very effective on Anubis. Obviously, Fleta not in the game. See how it goes this time.
Yeah, take note of that one. Fleta not in the game, and Baby Bay wasn't having to do much counter-sniping. He was actually dealing with Genjis and Tracers and the like. But now he's going to be put to the real test here, and Fleta, notorious for this early pick here. Find it.
We saw him take out a Mercy just flying out of the spawn the other day.
Yeah, I couldn't even see it. He like shot a tree and all of a sudden he gets a headshot. Okay, bro, no worries.
The counter sniping will be interesting. Both these players, Fleta and Baby Bay, will just trying to figure out where each other are. Just, you get to see one snipe bullet, that changes everything. But Baby Bay takes out Jaehong. Sleepy will kill Toby. So you lose both supports here early for Seoul Dynasty. That'll allow the Shock to take the point with ease.
I really do think that the Widow face-off on this map is 80% confidence and 20% finishing power. I feel like the more confident you are, the more forward you can stand, and the more opportunity you give yourselves to convert on these kills. And again, we're looking at the guy who just doesn't seem to get rattled by his opponents. It doesn't matter who he's playing up against, he's always going to be playing that aggressive, cocky style.
I was going to say, if you think it comes down to confidence, Baby Bay is the best one in the league at it, as Dante gets behind Fleta here. Needs to finish him off. There you go.
Gives him the old backhand, the old 1-2 buckle my shoe, and it's back to the point now. Fleta being removed, and they're trying to get in his head, really. Not only the threat of Baby Bay, but also Dante spending 30 seconds at a time, lying in wait, waiting for Fleta to appear.
With Dante sitting up on that high ground on the left-hand side, it really kind of forces Fleta now to move towards that left-hand side. Gives an easy angle for Baby Bay to snipe him. As Baby Bay will use the infra sight here. He's going to know exactly where these members of Seoul Dynasty are coming from.
He's seen Jaehong, he at least saw the balls go past. Bomb dropped in, oh, he got him! I thought Jaehong was going to get away from that one. Looks like the splash damage was too much for him to bear. They're missing the Zenyatta. Again, Toby can go in, he has a Valkyrie, and there's a Resurrect available now. Fleta, welcome to the game. Finds his first major pick. And that will slow things up, but San Francisco still have point control. It's going to be Dak now going for the Valkyrie, they've lost 2.
Yeah, and it's going to get all the way into the back to get Nomi back into the fight. As you see the sniper battle going down, they put a ton of pressure on Fleta, and they're able to take him out.
Sorry, Baby Bay, Fleta can't play right now. He's a little bit otherwise occupied. Nomi leapt upon him. Toby with the res though, so Fleta still could be a factor in this fight. He's not too far from that infra side, so getting control here for the shot could make a big difference. Great defense matrix used by Nevix. This is the kind of peel you want from your flex tank player. Dak is down, and Miro's looking for Baby Bay still, but Nevix is not giving up, forcing the primal rage, and it may well be a fight lost. Baby Bay, how did he find Toby? He must have gotten away from the scrutiny of the Winston and then turned his attention elsewhere. Unfortunately, it won't be enough. Miro finally found him. And Nevix will fall 98-0.
Ooh, they do get that 99 tick there at the final second. So the Shock will just need one fight to go in their favor to take this map. Seoul Dynasty, they push all the way up. They do have Transcendence. San Francisco did burn both support ults in that previous fight. So we'll see how far up they're going to play. So Fleta will kill Sleepy. That's going to force the res out.
Zumba now is in a good position just to harass backlines.
It looks like they were trying to play over towards that choke. Now San Francisco's pushed on out through it. See what kind of angles Fleta gets.
One pick could decide this game right now, especially now that Toby doesn't have his Valkyrie. Baby Bay seems to be not interested in challenging Fleta right now as he's playing over towards that left side, and that really makes it an easy decision for Seoul to jump and engage on that part of the high ground. Zumba's down, Fleta now goes to the infra side. He knows he needs to remove Baby Bay as a factor in this fight, so he's keeping tracks on him. You can see the wireframe. Oh, there it is! Straight into the crosshairs. Just one bullet with Baby Bay's name on it, and that will get the job done. He's rezzed instantly, though.
Yeah, it's going to be Valkyrie used by the San Francisco Shock. It'll be Jaehong using Transcendence here on the point as Fleta gets Baby Bay yet again. They have to pressure him out, or else Seoul will be able to hold this.
I don't think they can.
No, the Shock are going to take it back.
Miro's low. Fleta's a one-man army, but it might take more than just him to get her. Overtime is ticking down, and it's going to be Zumba to throw himself at the point, but he has to back away immediately now just to try and, dip in and out and keep that overtime going. Again, San Francisco need to press its advantage. Oh, that's it! Oh, Bunny doesn't get to the point in time.
Zumba was really weak. He was trying to get healed by Jaehong. Thought Bunny was coming from the left-hand side to be able to contest. Doesn't get on the point in time. So it'll come down to 1 point here. It'll come down to Lighthouse to decide who takes Ilios here. So the Shock have really risen to the occasion today here against Seoul Dynasty.
Baby Bay, some important picks in that round, and has actually caught up to Fleta, or gotten a lot closer anyway. He actually outperformed Fleta in terms of final blows and deaths on that map. So that is a good start, and you can see him leaning back, asking himself what more must be done.
Well, I think it's just what hero does he decide to play here? Because do you feel confident in the Pharah versus Pharah battle?
Do you have good enough sightlines as Widow?
Widow, this is look, I play a fair chunk of Widow. I watch a lot of people play Widow. Look, Fleta gets killed there, you probably don't expect the Widow here. I think we've seen like Taimu play Widow on this point, just because Taimu's like just insane at Widowmaker, but this is definitely not the best of Widowmaker maps.
And yes, our good friend Andre would like to keep playing it. Jaehong has felled early. Miro's going to take half his HP and damage before he even hits the ground, which is a bad sign. But he's still got Dunta. Somehow Dunta just put himself in harm's way there by the looks of things. And Baby Bay is more than happy to use the SMG function of the rifle. Fleta can jump up on Baby Bay now, and that's the problem, Matt. If you don't get enough spaces, Widow will be punished.
There's not like a far sightline, right? Like the area where the point is so close, you're just going to get pounded with rockets. But Dante who takes out Bunny and Fleta. Nevix still here on the point. It's a really good heals coming in from Dawkins. Look at how much towards Valkyrie he's built up, 82%. Does a nice job of pocketing Nevix and keeping Dante up on the point for the Shock to flip it right back.
Zumba only just respawning back in now, and Fleta's switched to the Genji. He's decided he needs to opt for the more direct approach. He's decided that subtlety isn't really the name of the day.
My ultimate is charging.
How do you... What does Seoul Dynasty decide to do? Because now Baby Bay has like set up here on the high ground, right? She's going to be able to dink Miro as he comes back in.
The two-man diving man. Fleta's gone down to Sleepy. So many resources have been committed to Baby Bay, and it seems to be working in the favor of the Shock here. The Baby Bay doesn't mind the attention. He's used to it. Look at his Twitter profile. And he's going to get rezzed up now as that keeps him in the game. 32% to 14 here, and this is just the last vestiges of a fight that Seoul should really just be done with right now. I don't think they can contest. Dunta opts not to go for the pulse bomb, and Jaehong is still a presence. He gets slapped into next Tuesday. San Francisco remain in control.
I mean, Miro uses the Primal Rage to keep this one extended. Dante falls to the hands of Zumba. It looks like Seoul Dynasty trying to keep this fight going, trying to swing the point back in their favor. Nevix will use a self-destruct just to get back in mech. And Nomi will use his Primal Rage to keep this one going.
Oh, Nomi! Oh, you dirty man! It's filthy! I tell you what, he's going to be hitting the showers hard after that one. Both Miro and Toby drop. Just socked over the edge. It's not the kind of beach holiday Seoul would have liked.
So Transcendence used there towards the end for the San Francisco Shock. this next fight's going to be real rough for them. You have Valkyrie and Transcendence on the opposing side. You also have Dragonblade. They have nothing to go at these ultimates. It's just how many can they draw out from Seoul, right? If they can get them to use Valkyrie, Transcendence, and Dragonblade, you come back into the next fight for the Shock, and you're in pretty good shape.
Flutter, Dragonblade. That could be the key to this fight. Not many more options left. There is a Transcendence here, and again, they want a bit of Baby Bay. He's already backed well and truly away, and there's been a preemptive use of both support ults at the same time. The Transcendence doesn't get very much for Jaehong, maybe a little bit too early there. But Seoul will have control of the point. The Shock are more than happy to trade 2 support ults for a brief sojourn on the point, but might be quick that they jump back in.
Yeah, we'll see. If you use both support ults, you didn't really get a ton of value, right? When you talk about in the past how strong Transcendence is, compared to, used with Dragonblade as how you res Miro who dies here, and now you're not going to be able to raise him back up. It's a huge advantage for the Shock. You have your own Valkyrie as well.
Dragonblade from the sky. Dive Bomb works out, and Babyface found the kill.
You'll res this right back up.
Yeah, he's got Valkyries. So again, this Dragonblade not protected by Transcendence and also going to be covered up. Stefido's going to be careful. There's going to be pressure down. San Francisco 3 on the point. Oh, they've got control. The Dynasty have to get there as soon as possible. When Flutter just gets booted by the Diva. Butting down to Sleepy. It's a punch in the face from Nomi. The lack of respect is there in body, mind, and soul. And now the time is going to tick down. Just the one player who is Miro now. Jaehong's trying to get there. I can't believe what we're seeing. It's 2-1 in this series. Come on!
The San Francisco Shock have taken Ilios. We were both questioning, like, Babyface going to run the Widowmaker and Lighthouse. He was a huge difference maker for this team. He was up on the high ground. A lot like Eigenball had to dedicate so many resources did Seoul Dynasty to get him out of that position. It's that fight, though. They use both support ults. Don't use that Dragon Blade. That gave the advantage in terms of ults over to the Shock.
So, I mean, Seoul Dynasty's trajectory since about the midway point of this stage is starting to resemble that of Bitcoin in the last month, Matt. It's not been good. It's a downslide. They got a chance to bring it back after the break, but just one here.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Oh, nearly gets hit with that right click. Sleepy was ready for it.
Just a little opening is all the Dynasty need to press forward now.
There's always that flexibility with Nevix as a play when he gets his teammates back up.
They need a big Dragon Blade if they want to keep their hopes alive here, and I think they've got exactly what they need. Obi comes in. That's what you do, man. Oh, what? What? Wow, Baby Bay has just been on fire. Looks like the Soul Train hasn't really slowed down
San
at all.
Francisco definitely showing off. That was commanding.
Well, Matt, I've been around for a while. I've seen some stuff in and out of Overwatch, but I really didn't expect to see something like this. So, looking like they're on the downward spiral, at least look right now. I mean, we're not being doomsayers here, but if you look at the stats over that previous map, especially, one of the biggest disparities that stood out to me personally was Nevix and Zunba. Nevix is way ahead of Zumba in terms of contribution, in terms of damage done, in terms of damage blocked. This guy's been all over it like moss on a rock.
And Nomi's stats aren't great, but I think he's made some really nice plays with his Primal Rages, always, trying to find out if, Jaehong or Toby are alone. He's been able to dive in, finish off a lot of those kills. So extremely impressed with the tanks of the San Francisco Shock today. We talk so much about the DPS players, and even we talk a lot about the supports now, right? With how powerful, Valkyrie is and whatnot. It's good to show, tanks some love.
He's the best part, though. Baby Bay was playing, obviously, the Widowmaker on that last stage. And the point was not for Baby Bay to wreck everybody. Nevix was using the fact that Baby Bay was like a global taunt. Everyone was baited in by this Widowmaker, and Nevix is just hitting him every single time. He's got huge amounts of damage. He was able to follow up on people like Miro, especially. Miro takes a headshot from Baby Bay. He's half health by the time he gets to the ground, and then Nevix is there. Point is, we're seeing some excellent flex tank play from the Shock. It's really making the difference here.
It's interesting you kind of bring that up, right? Because I feel like Widowmaker, when you see one on the opposing team, she forces you to be aggressive. You cannot passively play against a Widowmaker on the other team because they're just going to pick you apart, right? So if there's a team out there that you're looking at, like, okay, they don't play great when things get fast and we can just kind of make these fights scrappy. Like, you throw a Widowmaker into the mix, like you saw what it did there. Seoul was forced to just jump at her and just get extremely aggressive. And then you saw some weird plays from them, right? Like, they don't use, they use both support ults at the same time at the end with Valkyrie and Transcendence. They don't save one of them for Dragon Blade. They have the Blade, they hold on to it. Like, they don't really get any value out of the Blade, right? Because at that point, Dak has Valkyrie. He just rests both kills right back up.
Right, so we're actually seeing the defensive Widowmaker here from Baby Bay, which in and of itself, not so shocking. The positioning here, though, is quite interesting. He'll probably start up front a bit, perhaps try and pick off someone like Fletter if he tries to go for an early pick using the grappling hook to get that extra height. I wonder how much San Francisco have already... Oh, hello. You can see Miro didn't even want to set up on the building there. He must have noticed the Widow.
I think he's playing that close Baby Bay just in case that Fleta came out and played far on this map.
Yeah.
And then you would have been able to get another pick off like he did on Ilios in that final point.
Miro, again, he's not committing. He just wants to check. Pretty much wants to stay low to the ground and probably provide a bit more peel in this case. Bunny, though, will go hunting. A bit of reconnaissance now for him. Quickly playing the scouting role. But again, respecting the fact that at any moment Baby Bay could have his lens trained on him.
You must like me.
Maybe playing a little bit closer, towards that statue. Probably going to get... it would have been nuts. So
Just a bit more charge.
He's playing close behind the shield by the statues. You see Fleta just going up these shots. Now it's going to put Baby Bay back on the archway, and there's Fleta getting a pick.
The start that the Dynasty were looking for. Fortuitously, they're able to get Baby Bay back up on his feet because he passed so far away. And now with Dante removing Bunny, this is going to start provoking a response here from the Dynasty. Notice Nomi's positioning. He's staying separate from his team, but close to the payload, so none of the Soul members can actually get it to advance. And he'll buy some time, but it's also causing him to be split off from the rest of his comrades. And he is down when Jaehong finding Dak, and it should be pretty smooth sailing for the Seoul Dynasty.
Yeah, Fleta able to pick up some picks in this fight as the payload will continue to move here. Seoul should be able to take point A. What is the response from the Shock? Do they change here? Because now, going through this second portion of the map, we've talked about it, we've seen it in the past. I think it was the Florida Mayhem on their series against it was Seoul, right? When it was Tavik trying to shoot Fleta from that low to the high ground. It's so difficult for the Widowmaker on the offensive side to get an angle unless you go on that long flank that Fleta looks like he's going for.
You know what Fleta's looking for here. Baby Bay surmised that Fleta would be playing in that position. Now he can be sure of it. Both Widows have Infrastride active, and now Flutters has expired, so he needs to play slightly more passively. That's all well and good, but the Shock need to actually stop this payload, and they're doing it now. They're gonna provoke a response from Seoul in just a second. They're just standing close to the payload. They're keeping it stationary, and Seoul are gonna get annoyed eventually and be forced to try and get rid of them.
I tell you what, I love how the Shock have come in here today, and like they have not been scared of Seoul Dynasty.
Zero respect.
They have just taken the fights head on, where a lot of other teams would have been, just kind of like bowing out after a few like headshots from Fleta. Baby's like, nah, res me back up, man. Like, I want another shot at it.
Coach.
Yes, Dante gets an early pick onto Bunny, and then Fleta falls to the hands of Baby. That forces Seoul Dynasty to wait a little bit, but now they have a ton of ults.
So here's the standard setup. Nomi sits on the corner, and the moment that Seoul get annoyed and decide they want to start moving the payload again, that's when the Shock can collapse on individuals. They're provoking a response. They're trying to bait the Dynasty just the same way they did in Ilios, except maybe with different characters. Baby finds himself in a rather compromising position. He must have been forced to drop down, and the self-destruct will be sent up and over. Nevix does get a reset here. Bunny's not able to burst him down in time, and Bunny now needs to find something else to do with his time. Nomi, Primal Rage. Everyone Bunny's trying to shoot seems to have a way of getting out of it. The Tracer hasn't had much to be done, and look at the payload, man. Still not moving, and now there's a Transcendence thrown in the mix.
Yeah, Transcendence from both teams.
Oh, he
here,
went
and
down.
Sleepy able to hold him up. Miro does fall at the hands of Dante. That'll get rezzed up by Toby. Toby able to keep his life in the process as well. The payload has not moved here. It'll be the infrared sight from Baby. The only thing in terms of ultimates online as Fleta takes him out.
Miro was outside of his team's Transcendence for just that last second there. Luckily, he was brought back. Good pulse bomb. Nomi's going to be picked up, and Bunny now starting to feel a little bit more attack going in for the Reds, and he still gets Nomi. So Bunny doing so much work here, being so consistent. A lot of it's being erased here. You just can't make this kind of stuff up, man. Really.
The shots he hits on Widowmaker is so sick. Whether it's Widow or Pharah, Genji.
Oh my god. Oh.
The guy is insane. See Miro here playing that close corner. He has Primal Rage, so if they come out from the high ground, he's just gonna knock them all back. Maybe he waits for a few members to come out lower and then tries it as well, but there'll be no changes in terms of comp from the shot. They're gonna fight this just with that Widow on Widow.
Yep, nice butt dive from Miro, turns away in midair so he can't be headshot. But Duck's going down in the meantime. Miro now can go straight in for the backline. Who's gonna protect Sleepy? Miro now going for the Primal Rage. Knows he's got at least the staying power to finish off these supports. No, he's knocked Sleepy over the edge. He's gonna have to spend a lot of time chasing this guy down. Miro's down to 156, but he still gets the kill. And in the meantime, the rest of the Seoul Dynasty got their work done. 3 minutes 22 on the clock. Seoul are one checkpoint away from finishing.
So Baby will still have a good high ground advantage here over Fleta, but it doesn't seem to matter as Fleta takes out Sleepy. Apparently just got that forward spawn. It's just, okay, I was gonna say the shot change, which they do. I like this. They're gonna have new Genji Tracer. They're gonna get extremely aggressive, try and push Fleta out. It'll be Toby who is Valkyrie here in this situation. So Seoul should be able to continue to move this payload on forward.
Fleta just ripping strips off of the shot, punishing them for peeking forward and all. It was up against the Genji here, but Baby Bay's a little bit low, so challenging could be frightening. Dante seems to be content that Fleta's been zoned out of position, but I don't think that's really the case. He's still in a good spot to get damage onto the initiators here of the San Francisco Shock. He doesn't need to be aggressive to have an impact in these fights.
It'll be Toby who uses his Valkyrie as Baby Bay gets into the back line. To be Transcendence here, and Valkyrie used by the Shock. Jayhawk still with this Transcendence for Seoul Dynasty. When does he decide to use it? You see the pressure coming in. Oh, there it is. Baby Bay, he will fall. Wasn't in really a good position to use that Transcendence up top right, just trying to lay down some damage. At least you have it for that next fight.
Now it's paid off. Nevix now to finish the kill on towards Jayhawk. And that leaves the San Francisco Shock in somewhat of a compromising position. They lack, like you said, Matt, the support ultimates here. However, Seoul have to fight on the ground or entirely on the high ground. It has to be one of the two to really make the most out of this Transcendence, with Fleta switching now to the Genji.
And that's what I was going to say. You know, Fleta probably needs to switch on for the Widowmaker there. I mean, with only like a minute and 45 seconds to go, playing for those picks, if you don't get it against the dive, you're putting your team in a lot of trouble. So they'll play around potentially Fleta getting this Dragon Blade towards the later end of this map.
It'll take a while, at least 90 seconds in many cases, and Baby Bay is much closer to his. In fact, he hasn't. So all it needs to be removed from the sheet, but Baby Bay is more than happy to be conservative. At least for the time being anyway. Reminding Fleta that he is always just one step behind. Oh, hello, that's a Winston though. You can't block that, mate. And it is going to be the jump out from Miro to keep Baby Bay alive for now.
Seoul Dynasty will be able to move the card here. They still have that Transcendence. Stack does have his Valkyrie.
Oh, you see where that self-destruct was going. Over ankle, but Baby Bay is not going to be fooled by that one. Dragon Blade is out now, we're into the last minute. Baby Bay being forced to use that ultimate to try and salvage a situation, although it was never really that bad for the Shock. No one was affected by the self-destruct. It was almost like that was baiting out some of the abilities on the side of San Fran. They'd used the Valk. They have a trance.
Yep, Nevix will actually, okay, so he's going to switch just to get him back up. Sleepy does have Transcendence here for the San Francisco Shock. You need to hold on to that for that Flooded Dragon Blade, though.
Nevix is always going to be de-suited in just a second, and the pulse bomb might be compounding the issue. It doesn't land on anyone. In fact, it doesn't claim any lives. Fleta went down to Baby Bay in the meantime, but is brought back instantly. He needs to make use of this Dragon Blade. It's going to go now. It's going to be now. He's found it. Dak will be dropped, and this is what the Seoul Dynasty were looking for, man. I think it's safe to say. Presence on payload, effective Dragon Blade, good positioning, and he'll get the round done with 13 seconds remaining.
They're able to get Sleepy to use that Transcendence. And then they come through with the Dragon Blade and they clean it on up. So Seoul Dynasty does complete the map. Only 13 seconds remaining in their time bank after a very good take of point A. The Shock showed some signs of life towards point B. At the later end of the game, they were able, once Baby Bay switch over, the Genji forces Fleta to switch, they were able to hold on for just a little bit longer.
The Shock have been one of my sort of preferred teams to watch on this map recently. You know, if not for excellence of execution, but more for diversity of ideas. We've seen that defensive Junkrat play. We've seen them play like Hanzo Junkrat, sometimes even Hanzo Widow on this particular map, whether it be attack or defense. So, you know, when you see the San Francisco guys come out on the attacking side, that we'll be seeing something a little bit different. Maybe we need to go back to calling him Baby Bell. Something cheesy coming out of the mix might be the go.
Well, Baby Bay can, he's a rare player in the sense that he can play the hit scan, he can play projectile heroes, right? He gives you a ton of flexibility.
He has 4 main heroes, I think. He'll tell you. It's the Genji, it's the Pharah, it's the Widowmaker, and I guess throw McCree in there.
The McCree 76, either or. Yeah. Dante, we have seen him play Genji as well, so they can run Genji Widowmaker if they'd like.
Do you like it though? Do you like this?
It gives them a ton of opportunity to attack high ground. I don't know if it's that important at the beginning of the game, right? I think in this first point, Tracer is so dominant because there's so many angles where she can just blink around and just get behind you safely. Genji is great, like if you want to go on like a long flank, right? Towards that right-hand side and go all the way around. Sure. But he's very susceptible coming through the chokes and whatnot. I think Genji is great in the second portion of this map as you're going from point A to B, right? There's so much verticality.
And you can also break line of sight. It's not even just being up high, it's breaking line of sight from people either on the ground or otherwise. And now it's going to be the San Francisco Shock out on the attack. Genuinely a chance here to finish the series if they have a good time at the end. But Fleta's found Baby Bay early on, a statement already made, gauntlet already slapped across the face of the Shock. The Dynasty are here to play.
And he'll get res right back up.
Funny that.
See, a lot of teams use their resurrections on tanks or whatnot.
He's dead again, Matt.
Yep, we'll just look, if Dak had another res, he'd be coming right back up into the fight. They're just going to keep investing these resurrections into Baby Bay until he can pop off. Seoul Dynasty, they get very aggressive right on top of that payload. So you play so far up, right? So you get that second fight potentially over by the statue.
If there was like a visual way of depicting how much of the team's resources a player gets, then Baby Bay would be Jabba the Hutt. He wouldn't be flexing nearly as much in that case, I'll give you the big tip. But it's not working out so far for the Shock. They're losing players, they're bleeding them now as they're trying to get around the corner. Yeah, this is a staunch hold so far from Seoul.
Yeah, Nomi tries to dive in past the tanks of Seoul Dynasty and go right after Fleta. It's the issue. I mean, it's Toby, Jaehong, and Fleta there in the Discord. Some nice shots out of Fleta. Some more damage out of Jaehong just puts him away.
Okay, Baby Bay yet to really find a big impact. You can see a bit of the damage is going down. Fleta just taking a body shot there, if I'm not mistaken. Now he would like to respond in kind. Looks like the Seoul Dynasty are going to give a little bit of room here and allow the San Francisco at least to progress to the choke. The payload had managed to make it around the L bend and they decided it was too risky to continue.
I think it just gives Fleta a better angle on potentially Dante here is build up towards a Dragon Blade. So
Dante,
you don't have to play in that close quarter area with the Dragon Blade.
Well, Fleta actually pushing forward here. Just for a moment. He never takes more than he ought to. You know, there are moments of risky play, but he never overstays his welcome. The guy's got a really good degree of discipline here. Dante wants to press forward. Bunny's down. Oh, Toby, you're in the firing line, my friend, but it's an immediate transcendence. It doesn't matter. There's enough damage that was Sleepy to back him up. Despite the presence of a Transcendence, they still find the kill. Now, San Francisco had to dig deep, though. They had to go for both support ultimates of their own, so they best make this work.
They're still trying to get Miro off of the payload as he is in primal rage, just trying to knock players back. Zunba will eventually fall as Miro does save his life, gets out for now. Seoul will have another chance here, Mitch, to get back onto the payload. They have their Valkyrie as well as Toby pops it.
Dunta now needs to try and find one of those individual targets and remove them as quickly as possible, but Fleta finds Nevix. And Miro was just rezzed up there, so despite Nevix's valiant attempt with that self-destruct, it finds very little. Dunta's managed to keep himself scarce of damage for the most part here. But again, it's tough for him. It's just one Genji against the world, and Toby fancies a bit of biffo, and he gets him headshot. Caduceus Blaster. Dunta down, and Baby Bay is hitting more body shots than the swimsuit calendar right now, Matt. It's not been working on this Widow.
And they're able to keep that fight going because Miro does a nice job after his primal rage, not staying on the cart too long, getting back to the rest of the team, then engaging again. You're actually able to get 2 reses off there instead of just the 1, right? You would have res Miro, everybody else would have been still coming off a spawn. So they're able to get those 2 quick reses, 1 on a Miro, 1 on the Bunny, keep that fight going.
Dragonblade. Dunta, if his confidence isn't shattered yet, it would be good for him to go for that ultimate now in this fight. The Shock have exhausted all the rest of their resources to try and make... Oh, no! Oh, there's no worse way to have that punctuated by Dunta getting shot in the face as he tries to go for the Dragonblade. However, San Francisco is still pressuring forward. It's Zunba down. Fleta now just trying to find a safe spot, but he doesn't really have the sidelines, especially not with the bubble thrown in the way. Just going to provoke the use of the Transcendence from Jaehong now as they try and pressure forward. And Fleta still has very little to shoot at. He's going to be looking for Baby Bay right now. But Fleta's down. Nevix chases him up inside the halls. Surely there's an opportunity here now as Miro goes barreling over towards the payload, knocked about. He gets sent flying himself as he goes back over the gate here. And Seoul have bought so much time, they've gotten themselves so far ahead here, but a San Francisco Shock aren't giving up just yet.
Well, there's so much healing that Toby's able to get another Valkyrie here, but the Shock forced Seoul Dynasty off of the point. And Seoul will now have to back up as see if the Shock can push on forward, get some stragglers. But for a second there, it looked like Seoul was thinking about engaging it again. Toby's up on the archway, he has his Valkyrie, they opt to back out.
Despite that, the Shock have still been given an opportunity to actually set up in more advanced positions here. I believe Dunta has spotted Jaehong out towards the side, and they're currently dueling on the courtyard. He's backed away, so not overly notable, not worth worrying about too much. Dunta returns now to the fold and has a pulse bomb. Look at Seoul just wrap around the corner. They're backing away from Baby Bay, and now in fact they'll probably be more inclined to stay out of sight, with Infrasight being employed by Baby Bay.
Again, that'll give Dante a lot of vision, obviously, to land that pulse bomb. Be a self-destruct that comes in from Nevix. Toby takes out Bunny, so you lose your Tracer. Toby now going to use Valkyrie. You bring Bunny back into the fight. You don't really want to res Zunba here. You want to wait for Miro to die. Yep, brings Miro back into the fight.
But Bunny drops. It's like as soon as one gets rezzed, another player on Seoul is dropping. Now the momentum I talked about, San Francisco starting to generate some of their own.
And you don't want to res Zunba there because he has to get right back in his mech on top of the payload. So you just kind of throw Miro in there and just wait for him to die.
No, there's not much value in resurrecting. There's either a lot of value in resurrecting in Deeper or very little. Nevix is just holding the door there. Not the kind of bouncer I would hire based on outward impression. But that is the strong silent type.
Both support ults here for the Shocks. They have a good chance of taking this. It'll be Dak using his Valkyrie. He needs to be careful though. Fleta coming on the flank as Widowmaker has the infrared sight up.
Okay, well, it's like a dual Cyclone vacuum cleaner with both of those Transcendences being used. But the result is Fleta falling early. Dunta's managed to fight. Again, Dunta's doing such a great job. Then that supplementary DPS player working around Baby Bay. So we're trying to stay away. It's SMG time. And that's Jaehong falling down. Once again, Nevix is just in every kill. Every kill feed entry has his name all over it. And now, minute 51. So the Shock do have a lead, but they need to finish this last stage rather rapidly.
Baby Bay switches over to Genji. So no more Widowmaker here for the San Francisco Shock. They're going to go full dive to try and finish this one off.
Baby Bay is tempting fate right now. And yeah, Zumba's going to drop down on top of him. There wasn't enough defense matrix for Nevix to keep him alive. Self-destruct, that gets rid of Sleepy, who was trying to play passively out the backside. Nicely placed. And that should be enough. Seoul just employ that one ultimate. They'll win that team fight pretty comfortably. Staggering Nevix will be the next step, but I think he'll just head for the heals.
This next fight, the Shock are going to have to open up with a first pick. They're going to have to force Toby to use Valkyrie because you're very far away from your own. I mean, Dak at 60% off chance he gets it in this next fight, right? I mean, maybe you're able to heal Nomi, who takes a ton of damage jumping in. get that Valkyrie, but it's really important they try and get one of these important first picks. Force that Valkyrie out from Toby.
Bunny being pursued now. Pushed away at least by Dante, but none of the DPS players on the Shock are actually going very deep right now. You see them more peel-oriented. Fletter's gone down though, perhaps he overstayed his welcome. Bunny's gonna hope to try and even the Ledger with a well-placed pulse bomb here, and that's the Valkyrie you were looking for, Matt. Fletter is back, but at the cost of the ultimate, Nomi's down. Nice connection for Bunny, and he might be looking for more here. Fletter dies for the second time though, and he's brought back for the second time.
Yeah, Dak has his Valkyrie, so he's going to be able to res these deaths up for the Shock. You get Dante back up, you get Nomi in the fight as well. Sleepy with a Transcendence, he's forced to use it. Fletter has that Dragon Blade, no support ults now for the Shock.
24 seconds and Jaehong goes for the trance just a little bit later to keep his active longer in the fight. Dragon Blade, Sleepy, look out! The man, his eyes are shut, but he's not sleeping this time. Fletter makes it real. Just the one kill with that Dragon Blade, but now Fletter's up on the payload. A little bit low, and Nevix just runs on into him there like a rugby player with a score to settle. Punch to the face, Baby Bay's claim. Demiro's just trying to keep the payload stalled out here. He's going to prime a rage, and that's a bad sign for the Shock. The Dynasty have everything they need to keep this one going, to stall out and to wait for reinforcements who are going to be much closer indeed. Self-destruct. Nomi's going to respect this, trying to break line of sight behind the trailer. Pulse bomb dropped as well, but Nomi's still there. He's hanging on. Barrier thrown down. Bionic Field also employed to try and keep the Shock up and healthy, but it's only Dante and Dak right now. And I think the 2Ds are going to struggle to keep themselves close enough to this one. A Lucio and a Tracer, that's all they got to work with. Overtime, Baby Bay throws himself into the mix. Desperation is not going to be enough, though, for the San Francisco Shock. And there's a smile on the face for Jaehong, as they know they pushed this one to a map fight.
They do hold on there in the end. It was forcing that Transcendence out of Sleepy, allowing Fletter to get two with his Dragon Blade. Baby Bay pops his blade at the same time, but as he goes in towards the payload to try and pick people up, Seoul Dynasty just goes right around him for the backline, uses the dash, not able to get back to get anything.
Either the Seoul Dynasty is not playing up to their potential, or the Shock is really lifting. I kind of feel like the latter is the case here. We've seen some great individual plays on both sides, and there's no better way to finish this map, man, than with a fifth and final map.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
gone the way that Seoul would have expected, Matt. But this one definitely looked well planned out. Of course, that overtime there towards the end of that final map, even saw some Doomfist action there. They managed to hold on. Give us the map fight we deserve.
Yeah, Doomfist always comes out knowing you're trying to stall, stay alive for a little bit. It obviously provides great just self-sustain, right?
Instant removal as well.
Instant just bursting people down, right? And then also you gain the shields when you connect with a lot of his abilities. As we see the series now tied up, as we go into a game 5, I don't think anyone would have predicted this coming into today.
No, especially considering this was kind of the situation Seoul were trying to avert. But, they tweeted out, they said, jokingly, haha, all to plan. No, but seriously, they're looking to really work on a couple of things coming back into the next stage. And now, remember, for the San Francisco Shock, they have very little to lose here. They've come up against some quality opponents. Bear in mind, they've beaten the Boston Uprising, among others, this season. So they would love, just for themselves, to prove that they can do this.
They do have a ton to gain, though. I mean, a great send-off of your stage 1 for the San Francisco Shock would be to beat Seoul Dynasty here. Just kind of prove to yourself how much they've developed as a team, right? How much they've improved. You get a big win here. Everybody feels energized going into the little break before stage 2.
Self-belief is so important.
Yeah, it would be a pretty big game for the Shock, to be quite honest with you.
Smiles on the faces there. Sleepy looking a little bit more alert than usual. Which is a good sign, because they're going to need a little bit of that now. If you go back, it was a rough start on Ilios for the San Francisco Shock, and it seemed as if Fleta had their number until BabyBay started playing the Widowmaker. Seoul put so many resources into trying to remove BabyBay that they left a few openings. Some holes in the armor, so to speak, Matt, and that was where the Shock took their opportunity to break back in. Will we see a similar situation here? Or will we see, a bit more of a classic approach? It looks like BabyBay might go for the Pharaoh to begin with here. We definitely look at watching this DPS matchup. I think it's pretty safe to say.
It's been a lot of fun to see BabyBay and Fleta go at it, as it'll be San Francisco keeping Dunk on Lucio, and they'll have Sleepy play Mercy here, a lot like what we saw in Ilios. Seoul Dynasty, Jaehong plays Zen, so you're not going to have that speed boost or the AoE healing that Lucio provides.
Miro already out of the picture, but Fleta didn't quite get away in one piece. Nevix and BabyBay caught him with the last vestiges of a bit of splash damage, and that's claimed him. BabyBay's not done yet, though he's found Jaehong, but Bunny now has something to say in a response. He's got Dunter. So take more than that, though.
I do love the adjustment by the Shock, though. We talked about, sometimes they struggle with the mid-game adjustment. So they have Pharah on their team, right? They know that they get Fleta low. What do? They speed boost on through, and they just try and mow down the rest of these players. No hit scan on the side of Seoul Dynasty. It forces Seoul to change. Fleta comes out of the spawn here, playing his Pharah now.
Interesting. He's found Dak. He actually found Sleepy just before, so he's doing a very great job of finding both of the supports. And just as BabyBay finds Fleta, gets a little bit of that catharsis he was looking for in Eichenwald, Bunny just starts running absolutely rampant. I'll give him one more, Dante, may as well. He's gotten 4 of you.
Trying to hunt down Dante.
Just won't go down, Bunny! He's the kind of pursuer that you cannot escape from. Once you're in his sights, you're marked for death.
So he is extremely aggressive playing Tracer. Right now, 4 limbs, 4 final blows, 0 deaths, but saw that snap from the previous game. Led in a lot of categories. He's just extremely aggressive. May die a decent amount for a Tracer player, but trying to make things happen.
All right, Jaehong getting a look in here. We see a poorly placed pulse bomb care of Mr. Dante there. Didn't quite find its target, and Fleta was able to knock Nomi off of the map. Bunny's brought back, but they can't resurrect the Winston now, given that he died to what appears to be an environmental kill. So there's a big advantage here for Seoul in this fight, and it's being exacerbated already. BabyBay's found Bunny, but Fleta now is going hunting. Bird v Bird. He's got the bigger claws.
Toby does use his Valkyrie in this fight for Seoul Dynasty. He didn't really even need it, right? Because it's pretty much a wash
Not
there.
the first time this series has happened.
So we see BabyBay gets hit with 1.
Who's kissing the ring today?
They both hit each other with 1 and back down.
All right, you just got to let those moments breathe. I wanted to see what was going to happen. Dak's down, though. Barrage comes in. Nevix a little bit too late, and Fleta just gets set cartwheeling. But he got it dropped down. He actually managed to find Dak there. But Dak gets res, so perhaps it wasn't worth it. Pulse bomb's here for Bunny. Where's this one going to go? BabyBay's flying in above, and Bunny needs to watch out. There's damage coming in from all angles. San Francisco have to take control at this point now, and they do. BabyBay finds Bunny.
And Miro uses the Primal Rage, and it looks like he's going to knock Dak off the side of the map, and Dak wall runs all the way around on the lower edge of the map. That is sick to see on the minimap. Dak actually able to stay alive, get back into the fight. People think DSP Stanky was the original Wall Rider, but Dak swears until he's blue in the face that it's him, and I'm inclined to believe him, seeing just how natural this guy looks being on the wrong side of the map or on top of the tallest building.
He was over on the right-hand side. He's able to stay up.
Just doesn't care.
Through the primal range. It'll be Bunny open things up with a pulse bomb out. Nomi, but with Winston traded out.
Big boot there to try and give himself some breathing room between himself and Bunny. Now back to the point there just to try and contest, but he actually cops a boop himself from Zunberg. Dak wants to jump on. No, a little bit too late. He needs to get the heck out of dodge immediately. The rest of his team are too busy dealing with the fight in the courtyard. Attack, then this guy just keeps going. We call it the Dak attack for a reason, because it just doesn't stop. However, the bulk of the fight having occurred in the middle of the map seems to have slanted heavily in the favor of the Seoul Dynasty, and this is bad news for the San Francisco Shock. It's 93%, and Seoul have maintained control the entire time. Matt, there's just not going to be enough time for San Francisco to get back towards the point. Once again, they start a map like this at a one-round disadvantage, and Seoul starts strong, try and finish things off here in this 5-map series.
In the Shock did have the point. They let Seoul get to it, and then it looked like they were going to try and re-engage, like force those players to make something happen on the point. Take a look at a replay here from Jaehyung. He's coming in, probably next few orbs. Right to Nomi, okay. The Dak. So impressive to see what he can do on Zenyatta. So Zenyatta's have become real big damage dealers here in the Overwatch League.
They have. But the days of Jaehyung being the undisputed king of Zenyatta and Ana, or that flex tank role in general, may be over. He's got the young upstart Jonak here on the New York Excelsior, demonstrating that he also has the ability to change these games from an individual perspective. So yeah, I mean, his throne's being challenged. He's got to step up, and perhaps it happens here.
This is going to be fun.
Babybay's not going to like this. Yeah, he's going to have to be switching rather quickly.
So Babybay will play Pharah yet again. Fleta will play Widowmaker here. So these two just kind of trying to outduel each other, whether it's Genji v Genji, Pharah v Genji. Babybay has to play this perfectly if he's going to try and play Pharah.
Bunny now. Trying to get out of the space, forced to recall out. That's 70 HP. Could be early DC or Nevix here, so this is a good opportunity. Definitely initiative in favor of the Seoul Dynasty now. Fleta, looking for Babybay every now and then. First shot. These guys are actually trading damage pretty happily. Fleta is being forced to kind of spend a lot of his time worrying about dealing with Babybay, while the point was being tickled so much. Jaehyung down to Dante. Fleta has to get away now as well. This could be big. Dak's going to run away, but he's being pocketed the pulse bomb. Bunny's looking to really stick a big one, but he's found Sleepy without it.
Yeah, they're just pushing Fleta out of position. It's been really nice thus far by the San Francisco Shock. Toby, though, does use Valkyrie. He's able to get one res onto Fleta, uses the second one to get Bunny back up.
Okay, Babyface found 3 kills in that last fight. Huge. Nomi does fall to Bunny, though, again, who, as you can see, has been doing huge amounts of damage. So, is it possible that Fleta is having his impact nullified by this, this aggressive nature, this confident nature of Babybay's play?
As Dak is using Sound Barrier, he gets drilled with a bunch of headshots by Bunny, and he falls, never gets it off. So you're going to lose that support ultimate. It's a tough loss there for the Shock, as you would have liked to have that Sound Barrier drop. You would have connected with 3+ members, probably been able to keep that point going.
Now things are starting to get dire for the Shock. They did maintain control of the point for the first part of this round, so they have a buffer. It's not a big one, and now the team in control of the point has a Widowmaker. It makes it very, very hard to try and take this back, because Fleta has a lot of very safe sight lines where it's easy to get incremental poke damage. Nomi gets close, but Fleta's able to pull himself out because he has teammates there giving him the healing. Pulse bomb. He's only going to do about half of the HP on Nomi, but if it gets rid of that Primal Rage, then it's worth it. Miro does the same. He reciprocates with the Primal Rage of his own in the back line of the Shock, and he's found Dak.
Nomi has just been going after Fleta so hard. Will be Nevix dropping and self-destruct as Zumba and Go still being extremely aggressive here on the bridge. See, Zumba still has the self-destruct. Toby does fall as he's getting close to Valkyrie. Jaehyung comes in here with Transcendence.
Fleta's found Nevix now, and he's starting to stretch his legs a little bit more on that Widowmaker. 46% of control. The Shock tried to take it back, but it's just not going to be done. Babybay found Bunny, but that's all the joy he's going to get for that fight. And Seoul maintain control for the second fight in a row. And I'm pretty sure that was across the map from Jaehyung there. Yeah. Standard stuff, of course.
Well, Dak is now playing Zenyatta. You can't have Sleepy switch off, who's usually your Zenyatta player, because he has Valkyrie, so don't want to reset that ultimate back to 0. You
Be killing both support ults at that point. BabyBay has this blade. Needs to get in position. It's so difficult. He doesn't want to get picked off by Fleta. He goes high up in the sky.
He's looking for him. Fleta just backs away, goes for the shot, needs to wait for the reflector timeout. One more chance. No, it's not going to be enough. BabyBay finds him, and now we can work on the rest of Seoul. But again, it's a bit rough because they lost Dax so early in the fight. Again, it's a matter of the San Francisco Shock putting so many resources into just the one player, into Fleta. And the rest of Seoul are holding up nicely now, Matt. Last 10%. It's go time for the Shock, otherwise this series has gotten away from them.
The Shock have no ultimates here, Mitch. They're going to get close to Transcendence, but you're going to have to get your Zen over the bridge. It's going to be very difficult.
It's go time now. Jaehong getting fairly close to a Transcendence. Might have an opportunity to use it here. Nevix just gets seated comfortably, and Jaehong found both kill contributions. Now it's going to be double Transcendence fusion over the point. An opportunity here for San Francisco to get in. I don't think it's going to be happening, though. BabyBay getting raised up. Sleepy needing to bring him back into the fight. But look at he's on his own. Oh, it's Jaehong. He's back. Finally returning to the fray, and the king of the flex support has taken his throne once more, and the Seoul Dynasty averts a disastrous scenario, but are still not able to keep themselves in playoff contention. Got to be a bittersweet moment for the Tigers.
It's a very close series. This game 5, though, Mitch. No Jaehong playing Zenyatta most of the time. No Zen on the side of the Shock. You lose out in the 15 eliminations, the 9 final blows that Jaehong gave Seoul. No eliminations from either of the supports. One actually for Dax, so you get one support kill on the side of the Shock. It's a huge disparity.
Momentous occasion for the San Francisco Shock, stepping up in the face of adversity in a team that many regarded to be far superior to them. What a challenge, and these guys have got spunk. They're a plucky bunch, of course, and San Francisco is represented by some lads with some real fire in them. There's no doubt about it. Seoul proved to be the better team today, but the San Francisco Shock achieved their goal. They struck a lethal blow, preventing Seoul from making it into those playoffs, and that's going to hurt.
See here some highlights from the rest of the game. The Shock, though, have to be pretty proud about how they played today. Don't get a win, but they go the distance with Seoul Dynasty. The Seoul Dynasty will not be in the Stage 1 playoffs.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omened by HP, the official PC display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
And we are back. A great start to another good day of action here. Unfortunately, if you're a Seoul Dynasty fan, yes, you got the win, but not the way you wanted it. They are now knocked out of playoff contention for stage 1, but they do have 7 match wins. To talk about all the action, we got Bren, we've got Crumbs once again. And Bren, you have been cranky Uncle Bren all day long. You were upset at the end of our first half, and coming into game 3, you became slowly more and more aggressive here on the desk. Talk us through some of your problems.
Okay, so I'm going to come out and straight up say I think Ryu Jae-hong is the problem. That's what I firmly believe from watching these games. I feel like he is the issue, and there's a slight outlier in that. Map 5, we saw him popping off a little bit, but in general, I mean, I'm going to come out and say it. Crumbs, you got anything to add to this?
Yeah. Where are you getting? Tell me why.
All right, straight up. I'm going to throw out some statistics, right? Here we are on Ilios. I mean, Shock end up taking this one despite the fact that Seoul win this first round. And I firmly believe this is entirely because Seoul Dynasty were basically chucking this strategy where they try and focus down Baby Bay, throwing it at the wall, seeing if it's stuck, and not really adapting it throughout the entire game. And all San Francisco Shock had to do was consistently put pressure on Ryu Jae-hong like this, like picking him off. He had 11 deaths this game, 3 of them from Baby Bay, 5 of them from Dante, basically just getting focused down the entire game by the DPS. And then you might argue there's a disconnect between the tanks and the support backline. That's the reason he's dying so often. However, it's not just that. The ult usage as well has been absolutely atrocious, right, between Seoul Dynasty. This is something that I'd never expect to be saying in the Overwatch League, to be honest. This is one of the teams that's always been consistently performing well, and here they have not.
However, to say that Jae-hong is the sole problem, I think is a bit too much already. Sure, he has a lot of... I think the flanks is his thing. The ults are his thing, but the coordination as a team, you can't put that on him.
Okay, maybe not, but he is supposed to be the main caller, right?
Sure.
He's supposed to be the main caller, the elder sort of in this team, the guy who's like a focal point. You're laughing, but
I'm just sitting here quiet, letting Angry Friend go off.
Seriously, this is the truth. This guy is supposed to be the foundation for this team.
So are you saying the other 5 are just brain dead?
I don't speak Korean. I'm not listening to the comms, so I don't know what's going on exactly in that regard. But I'm going to be saying that he's one of the biggest issues here for this team right now, and that's evident because we thought it was because when they subbed out the supports, when they put Guido in place of him, Guido and Toby, they were losing games. We were like, what the heck is going on here? However, Crumbs, take it away.
So this one is definitely everyone's mistake, right? This looks like, oh, crazy. They're throwing every ult. They must be fighting an invisible opponent. No, there's actually nobody there. They just decided to blow the panic ultimate from Jae-hong, responding to Dante, and then immediately Toby pops out the ultimate. I mean, you see that they have 4 points to cap, but to commit so much right away when there's no real threat, this is just an individual mistake piled upon an individual mistake, which is just a trend that happens when teams are struggling. One guy messes up, the other one says, I can save you with my ult. Then I'll save you too with my ult, and that's what's happening. Jae-hong might be the initial domino, but I think the entire team can take responsibility for the involved.
Hey, Brad, guess what? Jae-hong also helped him get a win in game number 4. Let's roll the highlights as we catch up here. Dorado was map number 4. Seoul needed this to take it to a tiebreaker. Fleta continues to impress. The Widowmaker was used for the majority of this game, but I felt like the supports were doing a much better job for Seoul Dynasty. You're still shaking your head. What did you see while watching this game?
I firmly believe this was just a Fleta show, right? This is a team, like, they actually depend so much on Fleta's back muscles. It's unreal because this guy is such a powerhouse of a DPS player. I mean, when he was playing in Apex, he was hard. He's basically playing 1v11 Overwatch his entire career. Now he's in the Overwatch League. It almost feels like he has to do it again. And I mean, yes, the support play did improve on map 4, but I still believe that the only reason they won that was because Fleta was consistently winning these 1v1s against Baby Bay, which is the star player for Shock.
So I actually think that might be a really strong point. The fact that Fleta's been playing almost like this 1v11 game his whole life, and it feels like to enable him means that the team might have to take a step back. It actually ends up happening, right? You're more used to a certain situation, so you're used to having to always carry, and so it's going to be harder to integrate your teamwork into a team rather, because you're going to have to hold back some of those, okay, I know that if I were to not count on my teammates, I wouldn't go for these kinds of moves, and that just springboards everybody to do their own thing. So I think it's just a big compounding of issues that are happening, and Jae-hong as the captain is obviously going to be zeroed in as the issue.
Right, yeah. And I suppose now the argument is to be made that it's not entirely fair to blame it all on Ryu Jae-hong.
You're just now realizing that.
I guess that's fair. I'm getting a little bit emotional up in here. And Seoul did do things a better in map 5, right? They turn things around significantly. So if we run the highlights for this, we can start to see now exactly what I'm talking about with this, because Shock came in with the exact same play style as they did for Ilios, but this time Seoul did adapt to it. They were playing around their backlines a lot more, and they were performing on a much better level, really, as well. And I think the key here as well is that Bunny was really turning up for his team on the trace.
Well, you have to remember as well, on this match, the pressure's off. You've already failed to qualify, so you might as well just play normal, play more relaxed, and that ends up resulting in a much better place-up for a lot of teams. It's not just the Seoul Dynasty that's affected by this. I really believe that a lot of these teams get hyped up so much that they get caught up in the grandiose scheme that we plan out for them, and they get all up in their heads, and now when pressure is on, they just don't know how to respond. Especially a championship-winning team, you start taking losses, it's a lot harder to deal with a loss. Winning is easy, but handling losses is way harder.
And one of the things I'm worried about now for the San Francisco Shock is you lost another big Game 5 opportunity, and you pulled out a Lucio for both rounds. It didn't work in either of the rounds, and Fleta picked you apart. And speaking of Fleta, he is our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. You look at Seoul, it wasn't an amazing day, but they definitely had some incredible highlights, and Fleta was making montages for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, throughout the entire game, I mentioned it briefly, but this guy is the hard carry in my mind when it comes to the Overwatch League. An absolute superstar of a player. You know, he plays a variety of roles, but he plays them on such a high level that, boy, it feels like whenever he's in the game, everyone's struggling to shut this guy down. Like we mentioned it, 1v11, that's been his playstyle throughout almost his entire Overwatch career before he was on Seoul Dynasty. Now he's in this team, and he's just performing equally as well.
I mean, the Shock having to take on Fleta is the real Baby Bay challenge, as he had to go Pharah v Pharah every single time, Widow v Widow, and you can just see his stats here on the Widowmaker, 15% critical, which doesn't seem a whole lot, but when you play so much Widowmaker, when you can achieve this level of consistency, it gets to be quite impressive.
Yeah, 26 final blows, not a bad job done by the sniper in this game. It had to go to a Game 5, but it's Seoul Dynasty that walks away with the victory, and they improved to 7-3 overall after their 10 matches in Stage 1. That's going to be good enough to put them in the top half of the group, but we still have plenty more matches to watch. And up next, we got a big challenge now. We talked about Seoul's chances of making it into the playoffs. They had to be perfect. The same thing goes for our next team. The Valiant face off against the Dragons, and they can't afford dropping a single match. Don't go anywhere.